What's up, y'all? Peace. Come through. I'm trying to find a link to this video so I can post it on my membership channel. I don't even know where it is. Make sure my volume is straight. Let's see. Take this out of here. How do I find the video for the live? Oh, go to my page. Okay. Let's see. View channel. We don't want to do that. Okay, here it is. Share. Copy link. Let my tribe know that I am live. And I think this is my first time being live on all three. I'm live on Instagram, I'm live on Facebook, and I'm live on YouTube. So this is my first time going live on all three at the same time using this platform. I've done it before, but usually I have to do it from all three platforms. Now I just have one space to do it. Okay, peace, family. I'm live. Come through. It sounds so quiet in the background. I need some sound, some music, some vibration, something. Peace, family. I'm live. Come through. I really want to play some real music, but then they'll strike my channel. So let's see. Add everyone. All right. It's not quite how I want it to look, but it gets the job done. Okay, and that's posted. So what's up, y'all? How y'all feeling? Peace. Let's see who's in the chat room. What's up, Jamal? Peace and love. Brandon, peace. King Nelton, what's good, my brother? How you doing? Hotspot Casino was good. Let me see. Let me scroll up. Brother Jamil. Is that Jamil Muhammad? Is that Jamil Muhammad? Is that you, sir? Haven't talked to you in forever. How you doing? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? What's up? Keith Jones was good. I mean, I didn't mean to say your whole government name. My bad. Brother Keith, how are you? Tiger was good. What's up, family? How y'all feeling? How y'all doing? Let's see. What does that say? Roy is my God. Okay, Roy. Peace, King. How you doing? What's up, family? Assalamu alaikum. Sandra, how you doing, Queen? What's up, y'all? I am, let me just put some sort of frequency music. I really want to play like some old school. That's my mood, some Anita Baker or something like that. But then I got to worry about getting a copyright strike, and we don't want to do that. So we're just going to play some 888 hertz. So this keeps me centered. So if I go into a space where I'm ready to blast off or sound off, or somebody says something, silly in the chat room, and then I get into Daenerys Targaryen mode, this brings me back to the center. And I just finished and uploaded 2 videos. One of them was for Andrew Schultz in response to him doing and being a devil and doing what devils do. And then I also did a video in response to Candace Owens referring to Beyonce's mother, Tina Knowles, as a mammy, which I took issue with. And I actually enjoy a lot of Candace Owens content. I can't get with the Trump worship. That's where we part ways. But I actually do appreciate her content and her perspective on a lot of things. But yeah, you can't be calling yourself or claiming that you're looking out for the best interests of Black women and then using a Black woman that hasn't even really. I get why some people say that about Oprah Winfrey, because in a way it sticks a little bit. And I'm not a Beyonce or a Tina Knowles fan, so it ain't none of that. I just don't, that word, mammy, I have an issue with it, especially when you study history and you understand, the depth of what that entails. Like, yeah, you can't be doing that. I'm tired of people disrespecting Black people. I'm tired of people disrespecting our culture. I'm tired of us being the face of all of the insanity, the chaos, the stupidity. There's way too many beautiful, highly intelligent, powerful, sovereign-minded Black men and women in this country for all of that to be the face of us. And so I'm sounding off, and I'm going to sound off every time I feel like sounding off, not just for Candace Owens and Andrew Schultz, whatever his name is, but for the sexy reds and the concubines of the world. Okay, so I'm doing my job. Let me go to Instagram real quick. Okay, what's up, Instagram? Wow, it's a lot of people in the chat on Instagram. Okay, how y'all doing? Peace and love. Let me see. I'm gonna have to toggle back and forth because I don't think you guys' comments. Zaza Shakur, yeah, I think that's accurate. I think I'm like a combination of Sade, Tupac, Frances Cress Welsing, and who else? Pop, Sade, Frances Cress Welsing, and who else? What's the spiritual side? Tainetta Muhammad. Tainetta Muhammad would be appropriate because she was a serious scholar and student in her own right. And I'm always a student first, so I'll accept that. Let me see. Nick Cannon is who I've had enough of. Yeah. Can you please check my DM later if you have time? I can. Peace, Zaza. All right, what's good, family? Salah Ascension. How you doing, my brother? It's good to see you in my chat. I'm just shouting everybody in the chat room on Instagram. Halana Black, peace queen, peace from Mexico. I said your whole name. I didn't mean to put you on blast like that, but love to my family in Mexico. What's up, Greg? How you doing, sir? Good to see you. Somebody said good morning. Where you at? It's 8:16 on the West Coast. Okay, Mama Za. Yeah, that's not really. I'm not there yet. I'm not Mama Za yet. I even I think Auntie is a little too advanced to me, to be honest. Somebody had I think I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. Somebody had called me middle age. And yeah, he almost got, I almost had to DDT him. And then I had to remember, according to the statistics of this world, I probably am considered middle age. If I live to be 150, I'm not even a third of the way. Still young and vibrant and all that. But the notion of calling me middle aged, I beg your pardon. We eat to live, but we take very good care of ourselves. So we aging backwards in this space. You know what I mean? But yeah, not Mama Zaza. I can be your sister. I can be your, I'm queen works for me. Goddess is also appropriate, although you don't have to call me that. But Za, a lot of people call me Za, and I'm good with that too. So much love to everybody in the chat room, on Instagram. LOL, you are teachers, just appreciation. I know, I'm messing with you. Y'all know I got jokes. Peace, family was good. The ninth power, yeah, it can't be doing too much. We can talk about him as well as a number of other things. Let me come back to here. How y'all feeling? So I don't really have anything in particular I wanted to talk about. I know sometimes for me, I do content online so sporadically, and then I'm getting hit up with DMs and messages and people wanting to know my perspectives about certain things, or, we need more content. Can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? I actually put up, all of my content in my membership channel, but I do want to make sure that I tap in on social media because especially the end of the year approaching, 2025 is going to be a very, 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 very critical year in timeline in terms of humanity, and in terms of the world. And so hopefully, it's funny because I was having a conversation with my brother. He's probably going to be in the chat room soon. We were talking about 2020 and how 2020 was the time for us to really stop and get centered and, focus spiritually and internally to prepare us for what's happening in the world now. And a lot of people didn't take advantage of that. They wanted to go to Dubai. They wanted to go to Greece. They wanted to eat, hamburgers and go into restaurants. And all of this clown circusness of 2020 through is still happening to this day. And so that was a grace period for us, though. And a lot of people didn't pay attention, and it still hasn't become real. Unfortunately, 2025 is the timeline in terms of what they're preparing for shit to get really real. And so with that in mind, And because I know that the divine feminine perspective and guidance is so necessary now, and balanced perspective, that's one thing I pride myself on. And I just, like I said, I did the Candace Owens video. You guys can watch that after you finish the live. And I, acknowledge the things about her that I value and appreciate and agree with. But then there's also other stuff that, like, I'm just tired of Black people in America being the brunt of everybody's joke. I'm tired of it, and I'm not having it. I'm not saying I'm going to be on the front line, like waving a flag, or, I'm with the smoke and all of that. Even though Andrew Schultz, if he wants to bring me on the show, I'll show up solo, individually. Okay. I don't need no backup, and I can handle all 4 or 5 or however many people you put. It's always interesting to me how these podcasts be having all these bimbo type females. No disrespect. I just have to call it like I see it. Having all of these, unaware and unprepared and, saturated females speaking on behalf of women, and Black women in particular. And I'm just tired of it. So is that my sis? What's up, Queen? Okay, yes. Thank you. I got my moderator in the building. What's up, Queen? Thank you for being here. I didn't want to hit you. I'll be thinking you're busy and all that stuff. But I'm glad you're here, because now I feel like I got somebody holding me down in the chat room. Allegedly, they're supposed to be releasing HSN1 next year. I don't know how true that is. They don't have to release anything at this point. We're way past that. You know how, and I don't have nothing prepared. We're just going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm going to try not to, I want to keep the conversation high vibration, but I also want to make sure that we are paying attention to what's really going on. They don't have to release viruses into the atmosphere or amongst the public anymore. The operating system of, let's say how Microsoft is an operating system, right? On your computer, on Mac, I think is, I forget what it is on Mac. But so the operating system that basically regulates the computer and the hardware, so to speak. And if somebody hacks into the system, they can override the original hardware and download a virus, right? And then the virus takes over the hardware and over the operating system. That's where we are. So I say 2020 was the time for all of us to sit down and be quiet and pay attention. And most of us did not do that. And that's why they're using, and they're going to continue to use, celebrity culture over this next year. The humiliation rituals are getting ready to go to 10. And by the way, I just saw the video of Jay-Z's accuser. I want to make a note because I want to remember to talk about that, because there's more to that than meets the eye. Apparently some autistic woman, maybe not all mentally there. They don't have her face on video, but they have footage of her being interviewed. And, Jay-Z has responded, and they're like, oh, this dude is an ambulance chance chaser. At this point, it looks like it's all a fugazi, right? So put a pin in that. But they're going to use, and they've already been using, from Kevin Spacey to, what's your boy's name? Captain Jack. Johnny Depp, to Bill Cosby, to Diddy, to Jay-Z, to all of them. They're getting ready to put their foot on the gas in terms of humiliating these celebrities, the ones that signed up, the ones that, at the top of the pyramid, the ones that have the most. And it's ironic to me to see so much automatic support for Jay-Z, right? And I mean, I get it, because they haven't, it's all just hearsay at this point, right? He hasn't been convicted of anything. There's no proof of anything. There's really no proof of Diddy doing anything besides domestic violence, and he's not accused of that. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people taking up for Jay-Z, but I don't really see a lot of Black men talking about Andrew Schultz. This demon actually laughing and joking and playing around about R-wording a man. So I say in the video, you are of your father, the devil. And I think he probably has family members that crawled up out of the tunnels in Brooklyn, in New York, right? I'm in a mood tonight, y'all. So just, you know what I'm saying? Work with me, because I had to sit through listening to Charlemagne campaign for this dude. I had to sit through Candace Owens referring to Tina Knowles' mother as a mammy. Anytime I hear the word mammy, I get in. You know what I mean? Especially depending on who says it. And she's not the most reputable in terms of representing Black people. She's not. I value and appreciate her content. But when it comes to us, it's always critical and haughty and, that upper echelon sort of energy. Like Barack Obama standing in a room full of Black men chastising them because they're voting for Trump or because they haven't voted for Kamala. Bro, we haven't seen you in 6 years. Where you been? There's real stuff going on in the world. Like, what's your perspective? This is how you know those presidents don't really have any power, because they go in office for 4 years, 8 years, and then you don't see them anymore. And it's like, why can't you take that same prestige, that same focus and emphasis, and turn that into something viable in the community and in the country? And they don't, because they don't have power. And just like Trump, okay, I'm all over the place, y'all, but just work with me. Just listen to me, okay? I'm gonna check in with you guys on Instagram in a second. So this is the thing. We're all in the movie now. Okay? We're all a part of the movie now. So they gave us reality TV and made reality TV a focal point for what, 15 years now? I think Flavor of Love was like the first one that really sort of jump-started the whole thing. Again, harnessing Black energy, sending the culture, sending the globe in a certain direction, but using Black people to do so, a la Diddy and Jay-Z. And again, I'm not saying either one of them dudes are not guilty. I'm saying I'm campaigning for either one of them, because both of them are getting ready to have their day, because it was written. But they use our people to direct attention and to keep people focused in a certain direction. So reality TV hits the screen, and all of a sudden, reality TV is the big thing. And now in 2024, you can't tell the difference between this world that we're living in, the physical, tangible reality, and reality TV. So we're all a part of the movie now. So all of it's so much content online about Diddy. Diddy's downfall is paying a lot of people's bills. You got content creators online right now that every single day are making content about him, and they ain't really saying anything. What is there to say? All we have is this, the paperwork that they put out in terms of the indictment, and different people that may have known him or whatnot, but we don't really have any factual evidence and information. But it's such a mainstream narrative now that people are feeding their families on it. I ain't mad, right? But my point is, we're all in the movie, and Trump has absolutely been one of the star players over the last 4 years. I cannot believe these people have hoodwinked y'all. No disrespect, okay? Because I love you guys, and I'm assuming if you're here, you love me. But I know some of you guys don't. But that's neither here nor there. You're welcome as long as you stay in your lane. The fact, okay, so we had ongoing court cases. They kept him live in the mainframe to make him turn out to be a superhero. This dude is Jason Bourne 2.0. He done went to court. He's Tupac. He's worse than Pop. What, 50 got shot? 50 Cent got shot, what, 7, 8 times, I think? Pac got shot 6 or 7 times. 50 lived. Pac lived the first shooting. Pac had a shootout with police officers. He came back from that. Pac went to jail, survived the rape case, came back from that, right? Ended up dying from a drive-by shooting. They done made Donald Trump, they kept him in the mainstream news to turn him into a hero. Then he survived 2 alleged, and I say that word with a capital A. If you guys couldn't tell that was a fugazi, then 2020, you were not paying attention. If you couldn't tell that those 2 alleged assassination attempts were not real, then I know in 2020, you weren't really paying attention. So we're all in the movie now. We're all spectating. We're all online commenting. We're making content, right? We're actively participating in the show. So Trump is a headliner. He's an A-lister. Kamala had her 107 days. in the in the I don't even know what to call it. Her campaign was 107 days. Did you see all the fanfare? Did you see all the hoopla? Did you see how much energy they harnessed, how they had everybody that was focused on her focused in a specific direction while she was campaigning for reproductive rights during a global sterilization and population control, while she was using concubines to push a promiscuous agenda? I mean, it's fascinating to me. These people are very wise scientists. Jamil Muhammad, I'm still waiting to see if that was you. I lost track of the chat on YouTube, but if that's you, you need to call me, sir, on the double, okay, Mr. FOI. So yeah, just like discernment right now is critical. So they got the drones in New Jersey, right? And everybody's talking about the drones. Listen, whew, Lord. You know how my grandmother used to say, Lord, have mercy. The level of psychological control and manipulation is at an all-time high right now. And the thing I wanted to say, just to end the point about Kamala, and I don't rock with her, but I definitely want to make sure I pronounce her name properly because people mispronounce my name all the time. My son's name too, and I always tell him to check them and make sure they say it correctly and spend time and make sure they say it correctly. It's ZaZa, not ZaZa, not ZaZa, not ZZ, ZaZa, like Allah, right? That word and the intonation in the voice and the way that the is expressed is resonant of the Om and the frequency, which is the symbolism and the representation of God in terms of language and the frequency and the energy. By the way, you guys, I have an event January 25th, 2025 in LA. The divine world, or the new world, the divine new world order. Yeah. The divine new world order. So this is the frequency I'm going to be on in terms of the spiritual sciences, in terms of the divine feminine, in terms of tapping into the power of your mind, in terms of owning, claiming, representing, being intentional, being focused, and being true to your authentic self and what it is that you came here to do. And I don't know what you guys came here to do, but I didn't come here to serve Satan. And I didn't come here to play games with NPCs either. That's why Andrew shows can get it. Anytime. Please have me on your show. I know they won't, but I'm just saying. I'd love it. It would be wonderful. Some of these podcast guys who sit down and have 5 or 6 or 10 women surrounding them, and they ask the women questions, and then they have like those little lights above their heads, like nobody's home. You know what I mean? And then they start knocking on the door and asking, is anybody home? Like, just have me. I'll come along. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Because again, I'm so bored with the conversations and the representations of womanhood. And to be honest, the representations of manhood. Andrew Schultz called Black men out. That's why for me, it's not really a big deal, because I know he's not talking to me or about me, but he called Black men out for the way you talk about your women, for the way you treat your women, for the way you handle your women, for the type of music you put out, and the way you project the negative energy that you project in front of the world. He basically said, if you can disrespect her, I can disrespect her too. He's a racist and a devil. It's just open season on Black women, and everything's our fault too. So there's that. Let me check in with you guys on Instagram because I'm on one. I'm definitely on one right now. Okay, let me see. Nobody did nothing. That's right, Chloe. Claude Anderson is the key. I much love to Brother Claude Anderson. I'm an avid student of his work. We're all the key, though. Our mind is the key. The power of the heart and the frequency is the key. I heard someone say everyone who had power but doesn't use it to aid their people are failing. Part decolonization involved the fall of the Boule, no puns. So the Boule is falling. The so-called Illuminati is falling. Everybody that serves Satan. This is not just about the celebrities. This is not just about politicians. This is about everyday average people, mom and pops. Jay is a snake of all snakes. There is no redemption for the soul once it has been sold. Yeah, I don't see what all of the, why are we so instantly bigging these people up and supporting them? I mean, I get it. He's a black man. He's, everybody will tell you that you can't become a billionaire without hurting people, without stepping on some necks, without, shutting somebody else that could have made it or could have done it. And he's got a history of that. Not to mention putting out content the same day as Nas. I think he's still competing with him to this day. But I don't understand what all this loyalty to these celebrities is. Big homie CC, what's good, my brother? I sent you a couple of messages. Okay, so I'm glad you're listening, and I hope you're listening now. And if you are, let me know in the chat, because I know you didn't get my message, but I want to let you guys know. This king out of Chicago, I've been watching a lot of your content. I sent you a message and told you, and I hope you're still watching, that you remind me of, in my book, Ancient People, and I asked you how to send this to you because I want to send you a copy. In my book, one of the historical figures that I referenced was Sakanuye no Tomorimaro. All right, and Sakanuye was I'll say he was the originator of what later became the samurai. So they don't credit Sakanuye for starting the samurai. They put the timeline to about 400 years later, but they were all modeled after him. And so Sakanuye was they called him a gentle giant. He was a warrior, right? And he was a serious warrior and led the army against the Ainu people, who were also dark-skinned Japanese people, but that's another story. So he came from a family of mercenaries, though. They were basically warriors that, different militaries would hire for them to come and get control of any particular situation. So you remind me of Sakanuye because he was known as a gentle giant. They were warriors, but then they also handled the civil administration in the culture. So they were poets. They were like, gentle giants again. So the fact that you are using your voice and your platform to protect women, to save and rescue women that are in dangerous situations, everything you're doing right now, I just really, really, really appreciate it. And I'm glad to have you watching. And let me know if you read my message and see what I said. And I would like to send you a copy of my book because I really do appreciate everything that you are doing. ZaZa, could you introduce me to Dr. Claude Anderson? Let me come back to YouTube. Okay, so let me come back. All right, where was I? I was talking about the movie. We're all in the movie, right? And the celebrities are playing a major role, and they're getting ready to use them to keep us focused on them so we're not actually paying attention to what's happening behind the scenes. The conversations about UFOs, the conversations about aliens, the conversations about transhumanism, the conversations about robots, the conversations about artificial intelligence, the conversations about genetically modified foods, the conversations about fish and wildlife taking that Jim Jones juice. They have factories where they're putting needles in fish. Okay? If you're still eating meat right now, you might want to check the scene. I don't know if you guys saw the lawsuit from Butterball Turkey, and this actually happened in 2006. These savages, again, Andrew Scholes, probably your family members, working in the Butterball Turkey factory, were sexually, I don't even know what to call it. I have no word. They were abusing the turkeys. Okay? And it's on video. It's one of the sickest things I've ever seen in my life. And it happened in 2006. So the lawsuit that came out right before Thanksgiving this year was connected not back to something current, but back to 2006. Okay? This is the real story. I am not making this up. So yeah, we have the needles going into the fish. We have the livestock, the majority of the livestock in terms of the cows and the pigs and whatnot. They're putting needles in these animals, which I don't know, does that indirectly put a needle in you? Because if you know, those of you guys that know, and I've been paying attention, and I did a full breakdown on this, where they were doing, you know, they figured out how to vicariously inoculate. Trying to be careful with my words. They learned how to vicariously inoculate people through inoculating people close to them. Okay, so the devil is a very wise scientist. In 2025, from owning the weather by 2025. I saw a video today in Pennsylvania of so many white lines in the sky. I mean, it was absolutely mind-blowing. It was from December 10th of 2024. Now, juxtapose that, that's Pennsylvania, right? I think the guy said he was right outside Philly. Juxtapose that with all of the sightings of drones, alleged drones, right? People saying they're seeing a lot of drones in the sky. Some people saying they've seen drones the size of cars in the sky, right? A lot of weird stuff happening in the sky. I in my last headline news episode I've been showing images of these messianic-like figures in the sky. And I even watched a video of a brother the other day that said that they were going to use the drones to project the so-called alien invasion. That's not quite accurate. They're going to use the plasma grid that they've already constructed in the sky for that part of the agenda. I know this sounds insane. It sounds insane when I say it, but everything that I'm talking about, I've been reading about for more than 20 years now. So having control of your mind, being rooted in some form of spirituality, having some connection with a higher power is going to be critical right now. Because, you know, they're putting the gas on the agenda in a major way. Let me check in with you guys in the chat rooms. So I'll keep talking and talking and talking. Here in South Carolina, skies full of lines today. I was just pondering on how pilgrims possibly use chemical warfare in indigenous individuals. Well, the irony is that most of the warfare that was inflicted on the native people around the world wasn't actually warfare. It was just coming in contact with Europeans. They wiped out millions upon millions of Native American people here in America and Native people around the world just by coming in contact with them. I talk about that in Ancient People, how they wiped out a very large portion of the Native American population because the Europeans that conquered those lands were prone to disease. So there we have it. Gina is a line. I think you left a message on my chat room. On my YouTube channel. If that was you, send me an email. I'm going to send you a complimentary pass to my membership channel because I read your message and I love and appreciate you. Beyonce is using her father's last name now, Knowles. I thought she's been Knowles. I didn't know that had changed. I love you, my friend, sister for life. Much love, King. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you guys. What's up, y'all? Yeah, discernment, sis. So you got all this weird stuff happening in the sky, and it's been happening for some time now. Let me think of some examples. So in Greece recently, I wish I had my most recent headline news up. I would show it to you guys. In Greece recently, they had a messianic figure in the sky. It's not everywhere. It's not like, you know, trending or anything, but if you look for it, you can find it. It looks like an angelic Jesus type figure, and it's in the sky. There's pictures of it, and then there's video of it. They had the situation down in South America where they had that same type of messianic type figure about a year ago. Remember that whole situation in Miami where they had the alleged aliens running around in the mall and everybody was freaking out, and they had this blurry, in a time where everybody has super HK 4D, 1000D cameras, all the vision is always blurry. All the content is always blurry when it's the alleged, you know, aliens coming to town. But yeah, they had that whole situation in Miami that died out. They had laser-like beams in Hawaii about a year ago. No, less than a year ago, actually. Just a whole bunch of laser beams. That whole situation with the aurora lights, yeah. They're showing us, and they're testing their toys and showing us that they didn't create HARP for nothing. They're not spraying those lines in the sky for nothing. Those lines in the sky have like 7 or 8 different agendas, right? So what's funny is I was exchanging, my brother and I were talking in the back and forth on my DM because he sent me a post about transhumanism in uh, the scientific intervention in our affairs. When I was talking about Morgellons disease, I didn't even realize that I was already onto this technology that would eventually be put into that, you know what. I was already onto that technology back in 2015. And at that point, I had already been studying it for 2 years. So that was, I almost said his name, one of the prominent scientists, because I always like to give people their credit, but I also don't want to get my channel snatched because these are very controversial figures that most people don't even know about. But if you want to know, you will know. So that hiding your head up under a rock and pretending like none of this is happening, like a lot of people pretended like what happened in 2020 didn't happen and like business as usual. Is that what you think God is expecting of you? God, Yahweh, the Most High, Jehovah, whatever you prefer. Allah, I'm okay with all of those things, the universe, source, etc., etc. I prefer I am that I am, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, they've had all of these things. I'm a sky watcher. That's why I learned so early on about the white lines in the sky, because I'm a sky watcher. I always have been. So for me, I collect data and information. Maybe I'll just do a compilation of content online. They had a city in the sky in, was that Japan or China? It was China. They had a whole city. You can go to YouTube and search holographic city in the sky and you'll see the images. And this is like 10 years ago. And it actually looks like there is a city with brick, real foundational buildings in the sky in Japan. Okay. And mind you, China and Japan are under serious levels of the social credit system. We like to credit the Chinese and Japanese people, and we should, because they're very technologically advanced. They're very, in terms of the modernization of their societies, extremely technologically advanced. Spiritually and emotionally, I find from my vantage point that the cultures are bankrupt. And I don't mean that I don't want to paint with a broad brush, say all the people, but I'm talking about a social credit system being in place and the people not rebelling. I'm talking about the majority of the young people in particular being locked in a digital system, in a grid already. We're talking about that being a potential in America. It's been like that in America for 10 years now. How long have we been seeing the Chinese and Japanese cultures walking around with those blue face masks on? Way before 2020. And those blue face masks are more dangerous, just like the Nancy 95 masks are more dangerous than regular masks. So hopefully you guys all know that, in case they try to spin the block and do a 2.0, which is part of their intention, by the way. But like I said to the brother earlier, they don't have to release biological elements anymore. They're downloading them. They're downloading them. I can get into that more if you guys want me to, but I don't want to, I have a high bandwidth for these things, but I definitely don't want you guys to be afraid. The situation with Russia right now and Ukraine, and it looks like, China and Russia is always the bad guy. This is a part of their whole agenda to make it look like there's going to be a WW3, to make it look like all of these, major global figures are playing for different teams, but they're all playing for the exact same team. How do you know? All you have to do is go and look at the statistics of the Jim Jones juice, aka the C.V.D.19 shot. That's how I type it, so that's how I'm gonna say it. So I had to create a new language. I had to create hieroglyphics 2.0 because I got censored for a year and a half and they shut my whole system down. So I just found a way to get around it. If the devil puts a door up in your way, then you just find a way to get around it or kick it down. So Putin publicly said he took the shot. Okay. Now he didn't. I've talked about all this. Just like Trump got it, but there's no video of him. There's video of Biden getting it. There's video of Kamala getting it because they're supposed to be the soft, passive, LGBT prone. They're the softies. They're the weaklings, right? The Republican Party and Trump and Putin, they're supposed to represent the alpha males, the tough guys. So yeah, I got the shot, but there's no video of me of it because I'm too hardcore for that. So the aliens in the sky, allegedly, the sightings in the sky, allegedly, all this stuff that they've been playing around with and mimicking and mocking us and mimicking and mocking God, who will not be mocked, by the way. What I'm here for, so what I'm representing, love and righteousness and the divine feminine and Christ consciousness and truth and all of that good stuff. And not in no soft-hearted, weak way, but strong, powerful. Yeah, we're here, the army of God, 144,000, whatever you want to call it. And we ain't standing for this clown shit and all this weirdo shit happening in the culture. The concubines have taken over Black culture, and Black women are just sitting back, acting like none of it's happening. I'm offended. Especially when people say, why is nobody talking about this? I've been talking about this for almost 15 years now. You just don't support, you so hell-bent on proving the lie that you're not looking for the truth. That's why you don't see me. So the stuff that's going on in the skies, from the white lines to the drones to the alleged UFO sightings to the alleged, China sent the balloon remember that? China was sending balloons in the sky. We never saw any video footage. They just told us it happened, right? So all the stuff going on in the sky is directly connected to the stuff that's in the shot. The stuff that's in the shot is directly connected to all of these. And notice the day after Trump was elected, Putin came out and did a press conference and mentioned the words New World Order the day after Trump was in office. Okay. So he's pledging his allegiance publicly. And then immediately after that, they go into the next part of the agenda with, the using the British and US missiles with the whole Ukraine situation. They're just basically heightening the tension for war. Remember in the Bible, it said there will be wars and rumors of wars, right? I'm making a note so I don't forget. And I'm not saying that, please don't think I'm saying that there aren't other forms of life out in the universe, in the galactic family, because that's not what I'm saying at all. But what you're seeing, anything that's on mainstream news is not leading you to truth. Okay? And we're waiting on God and God is waiting on us. So there's a lot of people in our family, in the melanated family around the world, that know that we have other higher frequency beings within a universal family that are waiting for them. And they're waiting for us because this is our show and this is our party. And we have the power to set this thing off and take back control of our planet. But it takes work. So the UFOs, the sky, what's going on in the sky, all of these random sightings, Putin playing his position, Ukraine playing her position with the dancing president in drag. Okay, what the hell happened to manhood? I still don't know. Zelensky, you got China playing their position, Japan playing their position. China and Russia have been the enemies of the state for the longest now. It's in all of the movies. By the way, there's a show on, I think it's on Peacock. It might be on Amazon though, called The Capture. And then CAPTURE. Do you guys know there's I think they said 600,000 CCTV cameras in London alone? And see, this is what I'm saying. We're waiting on God and God is waiting on us. How did the Japanese culture allow themselves to be forced into a social credit system? How did the Chinese culture allow themselves to be forced into a social credit system? How did the people of London allow 600,000 CCTV cameras to be installed in their cities? How are Americans allowing 800,000 5G cell phone towers to be put in our country? How did Haiti allow for gangs to take over and to come in? Gangs meaning Black Haitians, right? Yes, there's always outside interference, but the outside interference could never work if the people didn't participate, right? So how did Haitians allow for gangs to come in and wreak havoc havoc on a place that's supposed to be a sovereign country? How is the Congo allowing for Congolese men? We like to talk about the World Economic Forum. We like to talk about the IMF. We like to talk about the role that a white man is playing, but they could never be effective. They're using rape as a tool in the Congo. Congolese men. In the Sudan, they use rape as a tool. In Sudan, Sudanese men. So we hear a lot about the role the white man is playing. I don't really hear a lot of people holding Sudanese and African, and I'm saying African, that's too broad of a brush, Congolese men, African men. They're not holding the men in those cultures accountable. I'm tired of the romanticism. I can't do it anymore. In Ethiopia now, do you guys know the social credit system is already loading? They have biometric IDs for the children to go to school now, real IDs. You can't tell me they're not connected to the shop, because that's the whole purpose of them. Okay? Not to mention the fact that there's child brides still happening in Ethiopia. And I have a problem with that. And I don't really see people talking about that. Not to mention there's still female circumcision and all of this weird shit happening. And I don't care if it's culture or custom or not. It needs to stop. So Congo is going to have to stand up and take control and take responsibility for the Congo. Haiti is going to have to stand up and take responsibility for Haiti. Palestine is going to have to stand up and take responsibility for Palestine. Just like the Black people in America, ain't nobody coming to save us. People don't even talk about the issues here. Chicago is a war zone. You yelling at me for not paying attention to what's happening halfway across the world. And I am. Actually, I always am. But who's paying attention to us? Because we're the ones in the scriptures through and through. The funny, because the debate between Billy Carlson and the white dude, the white historian, I don't know his name, that's why I'm calling him the white dude. I think his name was Wes. He cooked Billy Carson. And I'm sitting back thinking, okay, in one breath, this is probably important for Christians, but in another breath, is this where we really need our men focused? On validating or proving scriptures from thousands of years ago? Or do we need you guys formulating a strategy and a plan for what these people are planning today? I don't know. I'm lost. I'm trying to keep up. Okay, Wes, yes. So, okay, that's the point. And thank you for saying that, sis. So that part, put a pin in that. And then, but who are those scriptures really talking about, though? There's a passage, and I'm not super Bible savvy, so I don't want to make it seem like I'm a Bible scholar, because I'm not, and I respect people who are too much to appear. But I have read the book, and I am versed enough on the book and life to be able to have an intelligent conversation about it. There's a passage in Revelation where God comes and rescues the children. I think it was Joshua who had led the people out of Israel, right? And so God comes to rescue the ones who had basically stayed true, who had stayed down. So he comes, grabs them. He's like, okay, I got you. You're out of harm's way. Let me put you over here. You're safe. And I remember this because I was so fascinated by it at the time. And I think I was reading this post 2020. You know, my spiritual antennas went to 1,000 at that point. So God takes those people, removes them out of that situation, puts them out of harm's way, and protects them. And so the people who are now safe are like, okay, God, you know, don't be mad at our brothers and sisters. Don't be mad at our family members for siding with the devil. This is my language. I'm totally, you know, I'm translating in ZaZa language, okay? And they're like, you know, don't harm them. Like, are you going to bring them with us? They basically campaigning for the people that they know were out of alignment and that signed on to Satan's program. And God is like, oh no, it's a wrap. I'm getting ready to destroy them all. And I was like, damn. So this, when I talk about spiritual shrewdness, there is a level to this game. In terms of spirituality, you talk about the armor of God. What do you need an armor for if there's no war? So God is giving you the tools and the resources and the ability to for the smoke. I'm from the hood, so I have to contextualize these things in ways that understand that are relatable. So God gave you the tools and the mechanism for the smoke. So then God is with the shits then. Excuse my language, but I'm just saying. I have to crack a joke every now and then when we talk about these serious things. The spiritual discernment. Get thee behind me, Satan. That's a command. That's not a question. That's not an ask. That's not a pleasantry. Get thee behind me, Satan. That's what Andrew Scholes. You and your underground. What's your boy's name from the Ninja Turtles? The rat. You and your underground, subway transporting, dirty mattress sleeping, satanic synagogue. You are of your father, the devil. So when I say that, I'm saying that because I'm wearing the armor of God. How am I wearing the armor of God? Because I'm mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically fortifying myself. Because I pray and I meditate. Because I know that I self Lord and Master. Because I take responsibility and accountability for myself, for my life, for my energy, for my awareness, for my imprint on the world. I am intentionally focused on adding value in every conversation, every video, every space, every book, etc., etc. That's the armor of God. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's why I said in 2020, I don't know what we're going to do, but we know we ain't doing that. I don't know how I'm going to travel, but I know I ain't doing that. I don't know how my son's got into all of these colleges. I don't know how he's going to get in when all of them want him to take that shot, but I know he ain't doing that. I don't know how I'm going to, well, I'm not going to say that. I almost said something to start a firestorm. I was going to say, let me find a nicer way to say this. The conversation is very low and subpar when it comes to the quality and the quantity of men in the world. Same thing with women, right? You hear men all the time complaining about there's no good women, and then you hear the women like it ain't no good women, no ain't gonna no good men. Okay, so I don't know how it's gonna pan out, but I know I'm not doing that. I'm not, submitting to a podcast professional that is getting likes and monetized videos based on trying to figure out how to capture my spirit. You better go sit down somewhere now. And I ain't no feminist, so don't play with me. I'm an alchemist, okay? And like I told my homegirl in our recent conversations, I don't have a problem with you being the head of the household, making sure the car has oil in it and the roof gutters are cleared and, all of the practical and security wise things, like do all of that, please. You can absolutely 100%, 1000% do it all. You can be the head of the household, but you can't be the head of me. Okay? God is the head of me. I self Lord and Master. Now, if you can rock with that, then maybe we can have a conversation. And that's not an invitation to hit me up in my DMs. Okay? So let's just all stay on point. The bar is too low on the conversation, on the content, on the things that we're emphasizing. Somebody said, who was that? Oh, I didn't even mention it. It was one of the videos. Let me see. I got notes for Dave, y'all. Nick Cannon, when he was interviewing Candace, and they were talking about LeBron James. And Nick Cannon said, it's difficult to be a black man in America. And she shot back about LeBron James. No, it's not. He's entitled. He's in privilege. I think black men should stop saying that. By the way, I'm on a thread on Instagram, and I said, remember the video of Chris Rock where he said, nobody cares about the men. Nobody, men are so devalued, all of that, right? And I know Chris Rock's a comedian, so he was, doing his whole little montage. But I come on the video because it was multiple slides But that was the undertone, right? Like black men are not valued, we're not appreciated, we're not this, not that. So I'm coming on trying to bring the divine feminine perspective, right? I'm trying to inject a queen's perspective into the conversation, right? So I said we should stop saying this. Black men should stop saying that people don't, aren't paying attention to them and that they don't matter and that their well-being doesn't matter, right? We should stop saying this. The same way I said when we always share the video of Malcolm X, and I know what Malcolm X meant, and he was right and exact, right? We're just in a different timeline now, so the level of consciousness and awareness has expanded. It should have, otherwise Malcolm didn't do his job. It expanded for me as a result of being a student of Malcolm X, right? The black woman is the most disrespected, the most devalued, the most et cetera, et cetera. We should stop saying that. We should stop saying it because it's a prophecy, right? If we say we know the power of words, I did a montage one time in one of the videos, and I showed a clip of all of the rappers who have called Donald Trump's name. It's like a 3-minute video, and it was playing clips of all of the rappers over the past, however long it was, maybe 10 or 15 years. And this was after he got selected the first time. It was a montage of rappers bigging up Trump. They want to be as rich as Trump, or I got this like Trump, or whatever. And so who's to say that they, weren't writing prophecy in advance? That's what the scriptures are. That's what the Bible is. That's what the Quran is. That's what Taoism is, right? That's what a lot of the spiritual concepts that have come from wise men and women during all these different periods of time. We writing prophecy in advance. And Elijah Muhammad said that there are 12 major and 12 minor scientists that go out into the world and tap into the frequency and the consciousness of the people. And once there is 100% dissatisfaction, then that's when the scriptures really get activated. You can't tell. I don't know if we had 100% dissatisfaction yet. I most certainly am. I want these people to leave me alone. I want these people to stop destroying our planet. I want these people to stop targeting our children. The sexualization of children is out of control. That's why I don't respect any of these females that are bigging up all of these concubines. Everybody wants to be a stripper and a hoe now. I didn't grow up in that world. Those women were not model citizens because we know what comes with that. The underbelly of that world. Yeah, it comes with something. You're going to leave with something too, if you leave with your life. I'm thinking about Players Club. That movie is in my head now. Players Clubs, was like the starting point where, that world started to get sensationalized. Never mind the fact that, the girls' world got completely destroyed and turned upside down. Just like drill music and trap music, where we glorifying death, we glorifying murder, we're glorifying selling drugs to our own people. But the people who are watching it aren't thinking about the devastation, the totality of the devastation in the culture. All they see is money, hoes, and clothes. It's better than poverty and living in squalor to an average mind. We're not dealing with average minds anymore. That's why I want to up the ante on the conversation. That's why we're having this conversation now. So, going back to what I was saying, the presidential campaign, y'all cannot possibly think. I know you guys think this is what's scary to me. I got to be honest. It's not even the political spectrum that scares me. That's the NPC. Those are high-level NPCs in that world. High-level NPCs. They don't scare me. What scares me is how effective the programming is. Kamala ran for 107 days, and in 107 days got turned into a superhero. How? Not only did she get turned into a superhero, because there's two ends of this. There's two polarizing ends of this. On one end regard, she got turned into a shero, and then on the other side, all of the beta male, anti-female, the guys who are just waiting for the opportunity to use the word bedwench, all of those guys came out of the woodwork. Their stock rose tremendously. So every time, by the way, this idea, and I know some of this comes from the Bible. That's why I'm saying, you take the best part and you leave the rest. Some of this comes from the Bible. Some of this comes from cultural, traditions, right? This idea that women are not qualified to be leaders is so fascinating to me, particularly because, and I don't support mediocre women. I think everybody's clear on that. So I said plenty of times I thought Kamala was a dud. There was nothing impressive about her, right? So we can go down the line if we need to run it, but that's not the point. I don't support average or mediocrity just to say that we have a woman in a position of power. That's not real. And a lot of times men put those type of women, a la Kamala, in that position to sort of reiterate the point. See, women aren't strong enough to lead. Women aren't strong enough to do this and do that. So that's a strategy. Instagram has disconnected the stream. They currently disconnect streams after 1 hour for most users. If you want to continue streaming, okay, no, Instagram is just going to have to come to YouTube. Let me check the chat. Hold on, you guys. Hold that thought. And it's hella mess. There's so many comments in the chat room. Okay. We need those people. Okay. Same scenario, different face. Okay, I'll come back to that. Hopefully the people on Instagram will come join us here because I totally forgot. So let's just follow this line of reasoning. We've had 47 presidents in the United States of America, correct? And we could take this globally. You guys know we could talk about African leadership. We could talk about leadership anywhere at any period of time. We can actually go back in history if you want. Or you can just get the book and then you can, read it yourself. But we've had 47 presidents in the United States of America since its inception. All of those presidents have been men. Out of those men, which one of them represented a high-level, righteous, powerful, impactful representation of power? Which one of those presidents provided justice on a global level? John F. Kennedy, there's an argument for that, right? But he still came from a family that was super rooted in all of the things that are wrong with this country right now. The Kennedys, right? So who are we talking? Ronald Reagan, George Bush. The idea, I said this in a previous video, that when I showed the video, the brother saying women aren't supposed to be ruling over men. That's why they're not qualified in positions of leadership. So are you acknowledging that men are supposed to rule over you then? Is that your position? Is that what we're saying? Okay. And you guys know this conversation is important is because it's relative, but I ain't no feminist. I'm an alchemist. Okay. And I have a son who's a young man. So I am just as prone to speaking up for men and on behalf of men as I am for myself. But this idea that women aren't qualified to lead it throws me, because we have had an ongoing continuity of leadership in America that have been men. Now you could make the argument, well, it's white men. Okay, well then when are the brothers gonna step up? Where's our representation of power in that regard? Yes, we've had powerful men. I ain't saying that. Malcolm X, Minister Farrakhan, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, right? I could run the gamut. So it's not the question of have we had powerful male leaders, because of course we have. But if we're looking at the game of life and the leadership that has been inflicted and imposed on this country, can you please tell me one man that has represented American culture and civilization with righteousness? There haven't been any. Okay, so how is this still a conversation about gender? This is we created this society that keeps women locked in a certain mold, right? And I'm traditional. I'm old school. Okay, so pro man, pro woman, pro life, pro family. That triangle, man, woman, and child, is what I represent, right? I'm campaigning for men just as much as I campaign for women. I'm 100% pro family, pro life, all of that good stuff. I'm very traditional and conservative in terms of my values and what I stand on, right? Um, but I'm also an avid student of history, and I can see the things that don't work, and I can see the things that haven't worked. So we can see an ongoing continuity of things that haven't worked. And I don't mean men being in positions of power. I mean mediocre men being in positions of power. So we prefer a mediocre man to be in a position of rulership than a woman, a powerful woman. It just doesn't make any sense. So when I say everything that's out of alignment with the divine feminine is getting sat down, as we can verify over the last 4 years, we can run the names and the gamut if we need to. But everything that's out of alignment with the divine feminine, including the concubine culture and all of the females that represent that, is getting sat down. This is, that shrewdness, the spiritual aspect of God, that smoke. We with the smoke. Not that we are trying to attract or trying to elicit war. Not that we are trying to provoke Satan. We don't have to provoke him. This nigga's at our door. Excuse my language. I didn't even mean to say that, but it's, you know what I mean? Which is one of the reasons why I don't understand is there's this very strong current of Christian, I can't even say confidence, because I would support Christian confidence if it was in righteousness. There's this very loud right-wing Christian sort of bravado now that's like, you know what I mean? Chin up, chest out, like we with the shits. And I'm like, but where were you in 2020? When the mosques got infiltrated, and the mosques did get infiltrated. When Satan was all up in the mosques, when the churches got infiltrated, you saw what just happened to TD Jakes. TD Jakes was running a whole clinic in his parking lot at his church where he was giving his parishioners that Jim Jones juice. He's going to be one of the ones when God is like, okay, all my people are safe now. Let me go back and handle business. And the people are going to be like, no, he was good to us. We love him. And then God's going to be like, wait, what? Did I grab the wrong person? Were you supposed to be on the train? Because he worked for somebody else. And the fact that we don't have spiritual discernment to see it is what I was talking about when I was saying this is what troubles me. That's scarier to me than anything. Satan at all our front door and we can't recognize him. But then in 2024, all of a sudden, Christ is reincarnated through Donald Trump. I beg your pardon. You think God's going to send a man like that? I don't think so. Now, if you say I appreciate, for economic purposes, then I respect that. Because I understand that Trump's a businessman and there is a reason for that. Even though there's another whole other conversation about, okay, I have to say this. So DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, is the title that Trump gave Elon Musk. DOGE is also the moniker and the abbreviation for, I forget the name of the cryptocurrency, but it's the moniker for this particular cryptocurrency that Elon Musk has heavy stakes in. You talk about cooking the books. They sent Martha Stewart to prison for 6 months for taking a phone call and making a simple strategic move in the stock market industry. Elon Musk is the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and DOGE is the acronym for this cryptocurrency that has been skyrocketing since this dude's selection. But the people don't care as long as it's benefiting them. This is why at putting up, not statues, statues next to God. There's a word for it. Okay, it's escaping my mind right now. God next putting up it's a word for it. I can't think of it right now. It's a perfect example. Y'all done made Elon Musk a god. And this dude's aura is dusty as all outdoors. You can't see the demon breaking through his spirit trying to get free. But it's okay as long as it's benefiting you. It's okay as long as the crypto is current going up. It's okay as long as the market is increasing. And I get it because, there's a strategy in terms of, income and all and finances and whatnot. But spiritually, that's your man. Spiritually, Trump is your guy. Dogecoin, yes, that's it. Spiritually, is Trump your guy? Please let me know so I know not to knock on your door if this shit ever goes down. Because we're in a spiritual war. So people are trying to make people think that they're, Russia, all this whole conversation about nuclear war. Why would they destroy any of these prominent land masses when they've already shown and proven that they control the minds of the masses? Why? It wouldn't make any sense. Why would they do that? That's why they destroyed those Georgia Guidestones. We don't even talk about that anymore. Remember how a mysterious missile just came out of nowhere and just blew up the Georgia Guidestones? And they got cameras everywhere. I've been there. I've actually been to that place. I've read what those statues said about what the number they want the population to be reduced to. Why'd they blow them up? Because I think they met their quota. But you got to consent. So you can consent emotionally. How do you consent emotionally, ZaZa? When you are depressed, when you are living in a fear-based consciousness, when you are self-sabotaging, when you hate yourself, when you are operating in the world based on hate, based on fear, based on the lower vibrational energies, that's how the devil gets in. Look at all of the physically, look at all of the from Diddy to Jay-Z to Weinstein to Balenciaga to what I just talked about in terms of the child brides, what the PDF file, right, coming into the mainstream of consciousness now. They got a pink and a light pink and a light blue line on the LGBTQ flag. It's supposed to represent transgenders, right? But why, when you go into the explanation of the flags, and I've done this and done videos about it, breaking down what every single line means, the pink and the blue represents infant boys and infant girls. That's why it's light pink and light blue. What do babies, infant babies, have to do with transgenders? I want to understand. No, I don't, because I already know what it is. I'm being facetious. So your lower nature, your sexuality or your expression of sexuality, but the lower nature, your higher self and your lower nature is expressing and operating through emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, etc. Right? So the way the devil gets in is keeping you locked in your lower nature based on sexuality. This is why all of the rappers are the same. They're all talking about the same thing because they are conditioned, programmed, instructed to talk about the things that they're talking about to keep you focused on ass and titties so you're not focused on God. It's very strategic and effective. So higher self and lower nature expressing from all of these different aspects. So the lower nature in terms of sexuality, in terms of the male-female dichotomy, in terms of sex in general, in the collective consciousness is operating from a very low vibration. We don't see sex as sacred. We don't see anything as sacred, let alone sex. The jump-off culture, the one-night stand culture. That one-night stand shit is very dangerous in 2024. I started talking about that, talked about that vicarious inoculation, right? We don't need to do the knowledge on that, do we? Because I can run it. high numbers of women that never took that shot that are having real serious issues with their menstruation, with their cycles, because they don't have no sexual discipline, or because they have a partner that made a choice that's affecting them physically. Now, the same thing goes for men. While we have a whole plethora of conversations about polygamous relationships, about polyamory, about, women should have multiple men and men should have multiple women, and men weren't designed to be monogamous. I think God is telling you what men were designed to do right now. Because guess what? 5.5 billion with a B, like Bravo. 5.5 billion people took that shot. So if you operating with my frame of reference, then that means those 5.5 billion people are not viable sexual mates. So what does that mean? Oh, you got to be disciplined. You have to be careful. And by the way, do I even want to get into this right now? The conversation is just the low-hanging fruit is just throwing me. Men are supposed to have multiple women because ... That's because a lot of you brothers are picking women that low-hanging fruit. You're not choosing your mate based on mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical companionship. You picking from you just want a beautiful woman, or a physically attractive woman, or a woman who will submit, or a woman who will, you got like 3 to 5 things that you need on your list, and everything else outside of that is not really that like viable. Like, how many men are actually pursuing spiritually minded women? When's the last time you heard a podcast on that? You do. If you've heard of one, send it to me. I'd love to see it. Let's talk about it. I'll do a review. So if you're not choosing a woman from a mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical perspective, which if you are striving to master self, if you're striving for God consciousness, goddess consciousness, etc., the top of the pyramid, high vibration, living, being, resonance, you're not choosing your partner from those 4 different avenues intentionally. And I'm not saying we all got to be perfect, out the gate. We all figuring this shit out. We're all growing. We're all trying to be our best. I hope if you tune into me, that's what you're striving for, because that's what this whole conversation is about. If I can't inspire you to your personal power, then I'm wasting my breath. So the representation of womanhood and what that has devolved into now. Stop having these concubines speak for women. And stop having these court jesters speak for men. I saw an interview on, Neo. So Dr. What's the sister's name? She was talking about, I forget her name. She was talking about Neo, and, he's got 3 girlfriends now and that whole thing. And she was really chastising him. I didn't understand why she was chastising him about, being divorced. His marriage didn't work out. And she was chastising him about, the failing of that, which I don't know if she knows them personally or not. If you know them personally, I can see why you would say that. But like, everybody that gets married are not meant to be together. It's a lot of people stuck in long-term relationships that need to get out of those relationships so they can be free. Okay. And so that's part of the conversation. And I'm not, 100% for marriage, for the strong family dynamic. But I'm talking about powerful, righteous men and women coming together and creating high vibration relationships instead of stuck struggle relationships. Yes, Dr. Bryant. So the point was about, because Neo's like, this is who I am and this is what I do and that. I personally think he might have an affinity towards men myself, but that's another conversation for another time. It's a little joke, but it's a little bit of truth in it too. You know what I mean? But that's right. Divine union or nothing. But in terms of the point again is that do those look like spiritually nurturing and nourishing relationships? The relationships that he's flaunting now? Hell no. I ain't trying to judge, but I'm just saying it's a base level type of relationship. It's a fun and sex and have, and live it up type of relationship. That's not a high vibration relationship, whether it's one woman or three women. Anybody that is really focusing on being their highest and best self knows that the more people you bring into the equation, the harder that becomes, whether it's a husband or a wife or a child. If you got three wives and you got to pour yourself into three women and six children, the possibility of you giving them the actual time and attention that they need to become high vibrant members of society, above average members of society, powerful members of society, greatly depreciates for you as well. Especially if you having sex continuously with three different women. That's your life force, bruh. This is science. This is God's law. Oh, that's not in the Bible. Where does this say that? It's in your DNA, sir. It's in your DNA. We can assess and test the quality of your sperm or lack thereof, and then have a conversation if you really like to. Same thing goes for women. This isn't just, I'm not just, you know what I mean? It's the same thing for women. And I don't even know why any woman like to, this sister, I wondered, I don't know, maybe I showed it in the video, but she was a polyamory chick, Black woman with the hair wrap and all of that. And, I think she had the Africa piece on, but she looked the part until she started talking. And I was like, oh God, this is so dangerous. Please, somebody turn off her microphone, because she had a pie graph. And the pie graph was a circle, and she divvied the pie graph up, and she was showing all the sexual relationships she has. And so she's like, yeah, this guy here is this. And then I swing with these two people here. And then this is my guy for this. And then I have fun with these people here. And so I paused the video because, I need to do the math. I paused the video and counted the number of people. And she was publicly telling the world, this is somebody with 300,000 followers, publicly telling the world that she has 15 current active sexual mates. I'm trying to find the words. It's one thing to say it publicly. Like, bruh, where's your self-respect? You know what I mean? But this is what happens when Cardi B and, Lotto become household names. These women they want to be like these women, right? But 15? Oh, she's for the streets. She's for the sewers. She's for the trap house. She's for the tunnels where them dudes crawled up out of them tunnels in Brooklyn. Yeah, she probably been through there a few times. As a woman, this is why I don't respect a lot of this, the feminism world, because we don't talk about discipline. How are we still talking about abortion and a championing abortion rights as women and not talking about sexual discipline? You do know there's a lot that happens before you end up at the clinic, right? You do know if you respect yourself, you're only going to let a certain quality of man have access to your body, right? You do know the average Tom, Dick, and Harry is not supposed to be able to just slide up next to you and whisper sweet nothings in your ear, and then y'all end up in a bed together. You do understand you have an electromagnetic field, right? You do understand that if you stand next to somebody that is angry or bitter or that has a high vibrational resonance of negative energy vibrating off of them, that it can affect you just by standing next to them, right? You do understand, and this is for men and women, that when you actually lay down and participate in a sexual act, that the transference of fluids is taking that whole situation to another level, right? You do know that if he's crazy, that you're downloading his insanity, right? You do know that if he has 3 or 4 other sexual partners, then you're downloading that same energy when you guys have sex, right? Same thing goes both ways. I'm not, I'm here for both parties, men and women. So that whole idea of this world has done a major disservice to men. This world has done a major disservice to men. Got you locked in a sex and lust-based frequency, so you never are able to tap into your divine God self. By the way, I've been talking now for an hour and I think 25 minutes. Reciprocity is a beautiful thing because I come here and share my time and my energy with you guys. So I appreciate any super chats, any cash apps, because yeah, reciprocity is the name of the game. So there's no such thing as casual sex, especially if you take that condom off. That's, you know what I mean? Why are we not talking about discipline? God's forcing us to talk about discipline now. Why? Because it's not safe in these streets anymore, especially if you didn't take that shot. And it ain't just whether you took the shots or not. The level of, promiscuity, the level of sexual, transference, the energy now, all this wild, crazy culture, everything is hitting you in your lower chakras, in your lower nature, making you horny, keeping you focused on ass and titties. The whole BBL culture. How did we get a culture of women that just went and started chopping and screwing their bodies? What is that? What's the psychological impact of that? And what does that have to do with Bootylicious? Because Beyonce don't get enough credit for that. She walks so the BBL crew can run. Highly charged sexual energy in our music, in our content. I saw the award shows. I think it was Billboards or something, and Glorilla had won one of the awards. I know these people from Instagram. People put their music in the background, so I'm hearing a 1-minute clip. There's no way I could listen to 3 minutes of that shit respectfully and watch the video with the girls with their ass all in the camera and you jiggling and shaking. And how can any man in his right mind, whether he's in his right mind or not, operate at a high capacity in this type of environment? These people are controlling you and ruling you in your lower nature. Men set this system up. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Men set this system up, a very anti-male system. So I'm tired of hearing about men are the only ones that are supposed to be leaders, because most of the male leadership is subpar at best. We're electing, mediocre representations of leadership just to say there's a man in a position of power, and they don't have any power. As we've seen, the whole, Kanye was a billionaire that got snatched away. Diddy was a billionaire that got snatched away. Jay-Z, they're positioning him right now. He's looking like a champion right now, right? Because he got a win today. Because they done made this woman, whoever this alleged woman is, look like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I appreciate you for the super sticker. So they done made the lady who is made the accusations against him. She's looking crazy right now, right? But that's a part of the agenda. They want the circus. They want the smoke and mirrors, right? So he can come out looking fresh and shiny, and then they're gonna come with something else. And then it's gonna have all the people like, no, they remember this happened the first time, like Bill Cosby. Oh, he was only using Spanish fly. Everybody was using it. Is that really a formidable argument? Well, he was only doing it to white women. If I could tell you guys how many times I saw people actually say that, like, you are okay with black men R-wording any woman? Yeah, the bar is way too low. The level of conversation is way too low. I feel like I was born in the wrong time. So where's the conversation about discipline? Okay, so let me go back to my point because I'm all over the place, but it's all good because I feel like I'm, you know what I mean? We're getting somewhere. We're here to, in the mental realm. We live in a mental world in consciousness. We're here to destroy and then rebuild. So this is the destruction process. I came to do both. So the devil gets in emotionally, we covered that. The devil gets in physically, we went through the gamut of sex. We could even, in terms of the physical, obviously talk about diet. You still eating pork? I'm confused. If you still eating pork in 2024, I'm confused because there's no excuse. We talked about the Jim Jones juice. They're inoculating the livestock. They're inoculating the fish, right? So we wonder where God wants us. What is righteousness? How does God see these things? What's the natural order of things? We're being sent back to that space. Appreciate you, Fatima, for the cash out. Much love, Queen. God is re-showing us how to get back to the true, authentic self, to center. Sexual discipline has to be a part of that conversation. Discipline in terms of how you eat has to be a part of that conversation. So the technology in the shot feeds off of low vibrational energy and acidic environment, which is exactly what Satan does. It's so, even the technology is spiritual. The technology in the shot feeds off of low vibrational energy and acidic environments. Acidic meaning your pH is not neutral and it's not alkaline, it's acidic. That's from eating fast food. That's from eating genetically modified food. That's from drinking soda. That's from eating, hot fries and Cheetos and Twinkies. And who still eats Twinkies? It ain't even real food. So when you eat like that, that's how the devil gets in, because it affects you mentally, it affects you emotionally, it affects your decision-making process. Opposed to fasting. If you fast, you are regenerating your cells, you are regenerating your internal body. You are strengthening yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically, and strengthening your willpower. So we know we can say, well, where is God in all of this? Well, obviously God wants us to eat living foods. Why? Because when we eat them, we flourish. Obviously God wants us to fast. Why? Because when we fast, we flourish. We have clarity. We make better choices and decisions. We get unstuck. There's movement. There's momentum. There's positivity, right? Same thing with the conversation about sex. Well, how do we know a man can get 60 women pregnant. A woman can only get pregnant by one man. Yeah, but out of those 60 children, how many duds is that man going to create versus how many powerful geniuses? You think God is just in the act, that one little 5 minute or 10 minute or 30 minutes, depending on your diet and how you live. You think God has given men to just have as many women as he wants. No, look at the details. Let's look at the details. You go get 60 women pregnant and you're going to have 59 and a half duds. Maybe you'll have half of a powerful, strong standing, unique human being. How do we know? Because you can't possibly parent 60 children by 60 different women. Now, so don't tell me what God ordained. We can look at the science. We can look at the psychology of it. We can look at the chemistry of it. And that's where I feel like Dr. Bryant, when she was addressing Neo's situation, dropped the ball. Because you don't know nothing about that man's life. But we can look at him and tell that he grabbed low-hanging fruit. It's not far-fetched. I'm just saying, I'm a scientist. I like to go to I like to get into the deeper aspects of things. Where's God in all of this? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So what we said, emotionally, we covered that. Physically, we covered diet. We covered fasting. We covered sex, right? Obviously, working out. Do we need to go there? If I have one more person tell me that yoga is evil, and the Bible said that yoga was demonic, go sit down somewhere. That's a kindergarten conversation. Yoga is partially responsible for saving my life. And it's not mentioned in the Bible or the Quran. Imagine that. That's because the whole entire experience of life is a scripture. The woman is a scripture. The man is a scripture to be studied, to be understood, to be mastered. Not a woman mastering a man, but man mastering himself. So don't tell me you've mastered yourself if you think you can go out and get 60 women pregnant and that God gave you the right to do so. You can go outside and kill an innocent bunny rabbit. That doesn't mean you should. You can go outside and take your own life. That doesn't mean you should. Somebody said organic. Yes, 100% in terms of the quality of the food. The conventional versus organic. Oh, just the devil is just busy. He's a scientist. They're scientists. We have our Elohim and they have their cult of Satan. So physically, okay. What else? Mentally, what does God want for us? Much love, Jesse. I appreciate you, Queen. It's good to see you in the membership channel too. And coming to LA. Yes, I appreciate you. Much love, sis. This is the vibration I'm going to be on in terms of the subject matter that we're going to be talking about. And it's a long time coming, so I'm looking forward to you being there. Mentally, where is God at in terms of how we should be performing in the world mentally, how we should be seeing things? When you read books, your mind expands. When you think outside the box, your mind expands. When you, and I've shown this video before, when you look at the way that the electrical sparks that come in the physical brain, and they've done, there's plenty of video evidence of this, where you can see the electricity in the brain, which mimics the alleged Big Bang theory, right? How they say the world was created. That's a fugazi. There's some truth to that, but then there's way more depth to that. But so the process of that electrical spark in the brain when a new thought happens, and then that electrical spark is veering out and looking for new sparks, and so you feel inspired and invigorated, like when I had the idea for ancient people, when I decided for ancient people, a spark went off in my brain. And then that spark connected to other sparks, because I was like, okay, who are we going to talk about? Okay, so we got to be heavy on the queens. Got to do the Moors in Spain, because that's one of my favorite periods in history. Hatshepsut has got to be in it, because, you know what I mean? I feel like she's part of my lineage. So I'm thinking all these thoughts, and I'm going and I'm doing the research, and I bought the books I didn't have, and I was going to the library, and I'm doing the knowledge, and I'm researching, and I'm excited and invigorated, and I'm zoned out for 12, 14 hours a day. And I created a masterpiece. You can't tell me God doesn't want us to be intellectually strong. Now, I heard somebody who is well respected in the conscious community say that girls shouldn't read until the age of 13. I beg your pardon. You can't tell me that God doesn't want us to be thinking, to be creative, to use ingenuity, to be strategizing, to be focused on creating new things, new concepts, new worlds. That's why I said woman has two wombs. Her physical womb brings life into the physical realm. Her mental womb creates worlds inside of people. If you speak to a human being in the right way, I do it all the time. My consultations over this past month have been off the charts. The level of spark that's been happening from those conversations and those interactions is so humbling for me, because I say we write prophecy and we write history in advance. We write prophecy in advance. Yeah, that's it in full throttle. I talked to one of my clients. She's probably tuning in. She's in my membership channel. She told me, we had a conversation, and she was on the fence about getting a shot because her family was trying to force her to get the shot. After the conversation, she was like, nope. She stuck to it. She dealt with all of the everything that came with that. But not only that, she was telling me about all these other health issues that she had. She goes to the doctor for a routine checkup and to get all her numbers and everything. I mean, to see what's going on in her body, because she has a continuity of health issues. And the doctor was shocked. She said she had a colonoscopy. If I think that's what she said. It's in my notes. I'm pretty sure that's what she said. She said the doctor was amazed at the quality of, I don't even know how to word this because I'm trying to remember the full conversation, but basically her test results came back and her body and the condition of her health and well-being had improved tremendously. And so I'm all excited. I'm hyped. I'm like, what are you doing? You heard the clay? What's going on? What's going on? I said, what do you to what do you attribute that change? She said, our conversation. Damn near brought tears to my eyes. And I'm just the vessel, right? I ain't trying to take no credit for this, because she could have got off the call and went right back into that sunken place, or listened to those doctors, or listened to her family members like a lot of people did. But she stood on her square and she made a choice and a decision. And then she lined up her energy mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically with the choice and the decision. And then the universe and her cellular infrastructure lined up with the decision. Oh man, it brings tears to my eyes now. You know what I'm saying? So, and she took the initiative to book the call and to have the conversation, but then she went a step further and stood on her square. The doctor was completely surprised. This is somebody she's been seeing for years. What did she do? She changed her mind. She changed her mind. So that's the God side of it. Reading, thinking, challenging yourself, creating, making decisions, making tough decisions. We know that's where God is. How do we know that's where God is? Because that's how we flourish. The result is in the details. The answer is in the details. The solution is in the details, right? What do you think the placebo effect is? Believing that something is true, and then your body accepting it to be the truth, and then proceeding accordingly. So on the flip side, what is the nocebo effect? If a doctor tells you you have 6 months to live, your body will start to deteriorate. You believe it, your body will start deteriorating immediately. So then the flip side is, you see that the synapses happening in the brain, the electrical spark when a new thought occurs. And so now we have new electrons firing off. We have new activity in the brain that's measurable. We can see it. We can rate it. We can actually see what's happening in the brain, right? Sharp sparks of electricity happening inside the brain, because new life is forming, because new thoughts, new ideas, new choices, new decisions, new strategies are being formed in the mind. So what's the flip side of that? Not reading. Being led by going with the flow. What does going with the flow mean? Doing what you're told. Whatever direction I see the masses going in, I'm automatically going in the other direction. I might stop at the next gas station to make sure I'm not heading towards danger. But if I see all these people going this way, yeah, that's a warning sign for me. Because we're not in a reality that is, supporting people to be highly intelligent, supporting people to be curious. This is why the chosen ones, this is why the light beings, the truth tellers, those of us that are striving to walk in consciousness, are struggling so much right now. Because this world is not supporting us in our meditation goals. This world is not supporting us in understanding the power of prayer and meditation and visualization. This world is not supporting us in understanding the power of the imagination, the importance of fasting, the importance of looking within yourself, the importance of understanding the power of the heart resonance and the magnetic frequency, the importance of understanding self-awareness and accountability, and the fact that everything you think, feel, and experience in this lifetime is magnifying the experiences that you're going to have in the outer world. Our family's not supporting us. The culture's not supporting us. Social media is not supporting us. The videos aren't supporting us. The content isn't supporting us. And I don't mean that for everybody, obviously, because I'm here supporting you in that regard. But you understand what I'm saying. We're supposed to be getting that level of support all around us. Everybody should be encouraging you to be a creator. Everybody should be encouraging you to follow your passions. Everybody should be encouraging you to leave a relationship that is not in your best interest. I don't care how long you've been married. I don't care how long you've been in that situation. If it's destroying you, get run now. And I'm in full support of the institution of marriage, but I'm talking about high vibration relationships that are operating through the vessel of God consciousness. Anything else would be uncivilized. Much love, Kevin. I appreciate you. So mentally, how does the devil keep you locked in these frequencies? With fear. The type of programming that you're watching. I was talking about the show The Capture in London, and the CCTV everywhere, which is manned by artificial intelligence, is all up and through that. Blockchain too, but that's another conversation for another time. Blockchain is the seat of the throne of artificial intelligence, but we'll have that conversation for another time. I know big cryptocurrency is doing well now, so some of you guys don't want to hear too much truth. All these cameras watching and monitoring every single thing these people are doing, every move they make, everywhere they go. Even in America, Beverly Hills is right up the street from here. There's cameras in LA from Beverly Hills to Crenshaw to Slauson to Compton. There's cameras everywhere. Big Brother watching all the time. How did we get so far out of our authentic, true, natural selves that we allowed these people to rule over us to this capacity? Because it's coming to an end. Things cannot exist. We're on a Titanic. This reality cannot continue to operate the way that it's operating. Do you see people around you in your personal life unraveling? You know, we talk a lot about mental health, mental illness. We still on the mind. Okay? The devil gets in through we breaking down the mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical attributes of all of us. There's you operating in all of those four spectrums through your higher self or your lower nature. Higher self is where God consciousness resides, where we are expansive and creative and beautiful and amazing. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you, Queen. And I sent your book too. I hope you got it. So we're on the mental now. All the conversations now are about mental health. All the conversations now about mental illness. And by the way, the statistics of suicide in men, Black men in particular, young men in particular, is of an urgent capacity. Remember, we're in a world that is dictated and determined by male leadership. You can quantify it of whether it's men or white men, Black men, whatever. I ain't even on that. We way past the race conversation. We were actually past the race-based consciousness. That sentiment has run its course, but we still have to deal with the residual effects of it sort of being pushed out. So mental health and mental illness, and men are suffering at very high levels and very high rates, and it's coming to a head now. Why? Because you're not emotionally tapped in. The heart chakra is where all the power is. Science has been telling us all this time that the brain radiates and is like a battery, and that is radiating a certain frequency out to a certain capacity, right? It's a measurable capacity in science for the longest, until the Heart Math Institute came through and started measuring the vibration of the heart resonance. And this is where all the power is, right here in the heart, where emotions are felt, where love is processed, or where love is denied. So if you're not operating in the world with love, if you don't have no faith in yourself, no belief in yourself, then yeah, you're probably dealing with a mental illness. You probably have mental health issues because you're not tapped into your authentic nature, which is love. I'm talking about men in particular. Oh, all that emotional stuff ain't for men. Okay, how's that working for you? You did just hear me talk about suicide, right? Happy, loving, well-rounded beings aren't committing suicide. So mental health and mental illness, and I'm in LA, the extreme polarities of wealth and poverty here just blows my mind. You can be on a street in in West Hollywood, in not so much Beverly Hills. But in well-to-do areas that have $1 million homes, and there can be somebody on the corner camped out with a tent, walking up and down the street screaming and yelling and begging for money, et cetera, et cetera. And you know, we are here to support and serve all people, homeless, et cetera. And the people who need the most should get the most help. We're not quantifying this based on that. What I'm saying is the extreme polarities of wealth and poverty coexisting in one space. That's because the extreme polarities of wickedness in this place is merged and is living in cohesion with, and maybe cohesion is not the right word, but I'm gonna meditate on that. Is living side by side. I appreciate you, Don, for the super chat. With the beauty and abundance of nature. The physical beauty of Southern California is just astounding. I don't understand how people could live here and not go to the beach at least once a month. Especially if you live in the hood. I need to get out of the concrete jungles. I don't want to hear the helicopter tonight. I'd rather just hear the waves. We got access to God all the time. We just not tapping in. So those two extreme polarities with the beauty of nature and the abundance of nature. And then you got the beauty and the abundance of the creativity of I'm a lover of architecture. So for me, I don't care who live in the house. I don't care who built it. That's a beautiful representation of the mind, what the power of the mind can create, right? So, but we have schools that are programming people to be slaves. And we have parents that are raising and rearing their children to be slaves. Maybe not to a job. It might just be to their traditions or way of life. Now, we talked about female circumcision a little bit earlier. That's, you know what I'm saying? Is that African culture? Is that righteousness? Is that where God is? Hell no. And I would challenge anybody that try to challenge me on that. Please, I would bring you on video right now. Is God there? No, because it comes with suffering and pain. A lifetime of suffering and pain. So you can never tell me God ordained that. The male circumcision is different because, and I'm not even saying yay or nay to that, but after a day or two, the pain for that situation subsides. Or however long it is, a day or two, a week, whatever the timeline is. It's not a lifelong happenstance of pain. For a girl or a female that goes through a female circumcision, it is. And it takes away all her ability to have pleasure. So again, God is in the details. So we have schools that are programming us to be slaves. We coming up in family ecosystems that are either training us to be slaves or to be, look at the situation I just told you about in terms of all the people who got ostracized from their family because they wouldn't take the shot. These are people that are supposed to love you. You know, nobody in my family had the audacity to have that conversation with me because we're all clear. They tried it with my son, though. They just didn't know that they were just looking at another reflection of me. A better reflection of me, actually. I didn't even have to stand up for him. I didn't even have to, he handled it on his own because I raised a king. Okay? So the mental spectrum, how the devil gets in. We're living in a world that is not encouraging us to be readers, to be intellectually astute. That's why I want to inspire a new generation of girls and women to be intellectually astute, going head to head with the best of them. Engineering, what is it? What you want to do? Mathematics, what you want to do? Science, what you want to do? Where we at? That's what I'm here for. My brothers too, of course, but I think men are naturally in this environment. We are more so geared towards being intellectuals. So when I wrote my history book, when I was going, again, that mental thing, I'm looking up how many textbooks have been written by women, or you know, percentage. 75% of the textbooks in the world have been written by men. Got it. That's why I need to do it, because I need to put the divine feminine energy in this. In the proper perspective, because we ain't romanticizing nothing. We're going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's the commitment. You know what I mean? whether it's Africa, whether it's Black people in America, et cetera, et cetera. So mentally, this is why mental health, mental illness, all of these schisms in the mind, the brain has been fractured. And so many people, I've had so many in my consultations, people telling me they have brain fog now. Brain fog is one of the so-called symptoms of what's known to be COVID, which is let me let that breathe for a second. So the algorithm of Fugazi, okay, but it's one of the alleged symptoms. So the number of people that I talk to that are like, I can't remember certain things and my mind is not as sharp as it used to be ever since I got sick, ... Attacking this right here, your ability to think, your ability to make choices and decisions, situational awareness. You can't tell me that's not a mental representation. That's not something that happens through the mind and the quality of your thinking. Situational awareness. Where was your situational awareness in 2020? Where is it in 2024? Mindful of your surroundings. Conscientious of your surroundings. And I don't just mean that like, be careful, be wary because the devil is around the corner or there might be danger around the corner. That's lack-based consciousness, but it is relative to what we have to survive in this environment. But I'm talking about expecting the best that this life has to offer. I'm talking about thinking about blessings upon blessings upon blessings being bestowed upon you. I'm talking about remembering in the mind that in my Father's house, there are many mansions, many, not just one book, not just one religion, not just one culture, not just one leader, not just one preacher, not just one pastor, not just one church, not just one temple. You in yourself, a representation of the Most High. Can you fathom that? Is your mind able to process and conceive that? No? Okay, then the devil is having his way with you, maybe in a subtle way, maybe in a more direct and prominent way. They say the devil is in the details, so is God. So your ability to think clearly, your ability to make quality choices and quality decisions, your ability to think your way out of difficult situations, your ability to muster up the courage to have the conversations and communicate the way things that need to be communicated, things that need to be said. You know how much negative shit we all have to comb through in our lives from projections from other people? This is why I spend so much time alone. And I have my core inner circle, my tribe, don't get it twisted. But I spend a lot of time with myself because when it's just me, I only have to be responsible for my vibration. The more people you have in your environment, just to double down on the conversation about polygamy, especially if you're not, it's hard to find one high vibrational mate. You want an average woman? Okay, then, you know what I mean? Go for it. You want an average man? Go for it. But if you want a high quality, high functioning partner, life partner, relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, etc. First of all, are you striving to be that? That's the first question. And then secondly, those type of people aren't just hanging around on the block waiting, shawty swing my way type vibes. No, you got to qualify yourself for that. You got to qualify yourself for him or for her, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Higher nature, opposed to submitting to your lower self. And it's the ongoing process. It's every day. It's a process of maintaining this. But again, God is in the details. So from these, the brain fog element, and that being a repercussion of getting sick from whatever the different, means of sickness and illness that have been inflicted on all of us, that brain fog aspect. Why are you attacking the brain? Why are you attacking through frequencies and cell phone towers my ability to think clearly, to make choices and decisions? The show that I was talking about, The Capture, one of the things, I don't want to give away the whole, it's a fascinating show. One of the in the second season, I think it was, they had a thing about the election and how they were using artificial intelligence to basically sway public opinion to select, to make people choose the person that they're going to vote for and eventually go ahead and vote for. Same thing we're dealing with, but in a much more obvious and intentional way. So you telling me that these people can put out false information to hundreds of millions of people, let's just stay with America. They can put out false information that if you did a little bit of research, you could find out wasn't true. You could find out that the majority of the stuff was lies, just like the majority of the stuff that they told you in 20 was lies, like bodies piling up outside of hospitals and all of that. They had people going to these hospitals where they were saying they were in full pandemic mode and there was nobody's outside and the places looked like ghost factories. I got all the documentation if we need to run it down because I keep everything. So these people can put out information and sway public opinion, and people will go and get shots or get things that will be very detrimental to their own personal well-being because somebody said so. In the package inserts in the shots, they were blank, and that didn't set off your spidey senses didn't start tingling. Or did you even think to read the package insert? Because that's a mental function again. So the psychological warfare. When you're watching the news and all those little bars running down the bottom, those bars like this, hold on. I think the Instagram video was still on. Those banners, let's see, where's mine at? You see my little banner at the bottom there? When you're watching the news and they got a banner at the bottom and they got a ticker at the top, and then they got words over here on this side of the screen that are pertaining to whatever it is you're watching, and then they got words on this side of the screen, and then they got television screens in the background. You don't think that that's intentional? They program in your mind in 3 or 4 different ways. You're taking in information and content in 3 or 4 different ways. That's how powerful they know your mind is. But that's also how programmable they know people are. Again, psychological warfare. Stephen Jacobson, shout out to him, who uncovered and exposed all of this and how the media, the way they talk, the way that people talk. That's why Black men are prominent in terms of voiceovers for insurance companies and whatnot. They use the Black men's voice because it's soothing to people. The same way Black women's, the essence of our being, it's soothing to all races. That's the irony of there being so much anti-Black woman sentiment in the world, because everybody knows if you're in trouble, look for a Black woman. She's going to help you. I'm not talking about the twerkers online that you guys like to focus on. I'm talking about, big mama and auntie and uncles and et cetera, et cetera. We all know that. So mentally, we're being attacked on multiple fronts. Physically, we're being attacked on multiple fronts. Emotionally, we're being attacked on multiple fronts. And then we come to spirituality. So we still on the same topic, higher self versus lower nature. So how does the lower nature express in terms of spirituality? T.D. Jakes. John the God. Remember the dude who Oprah went with, the whole cult? That's how cults thrive. The cult is a excellent representation of the expression of the lower self in terms of spirituality. This is how cults exist. One savior, one main chief architect that pulls you in and makes you feel loved and makes you feel valued and makes you feel, accepted, like they're bringing you into the fold and they're helping you to tap into some higher sense of power, some deeper connection to God. And then next thing you know, 900 people are taking Jim Jones juice and dead. How does that happen? You can't do that without some sort of spiritual. That's a God complex if ever there was one. That's why celebrity culture breeds narcissism. That's why the conversation about Neo is way bigger than who he chooses, how many women he has. Let me take this banner off. No, I'll keep it up. That's why the conversation about Neo is so much deeper than just the women that are in his lives. That was a failed opportunity to have an in-depth conversation about men and their choices in women and the spiritual ramifications of choosing the wrong woman or wrong women. And you can see it in the quality of children you produce or lack thereof. You, we, they, etc. So cults is a perfect example. There's so many exposés on Netflix of yogi. This yogic, he was this powerful yogi dude who all these people, white people in particular, I'm just saying, flocked to India, and they were spending thousands of dollars and giving him all of their money. And then, 10 years later, we find out he was abusing the women, and he was, power hungry and money hungry, and duh. You making images of I can't think of it. Somebody probably said it in the chat room. You are taking on a god besides God, demigods. And this dude ain't radiating nothing powerful, nothing godly, nothing, you know what I mean? That is representation of what we think about in terms of God consciousness at all. And you fell for this. And now all of a sudden you're on Netflix doing an interview about how this guy took advantage of you. No, you took advantage of yourself. Respectfully. I'm not victim shaming or nothing like that. We having a deeper conversation. I feel like I don't have to explain the nuances of what I'm saying. Just like women who get treated like objects, but they walking around objectifying themselves. Yeah, that's how the math works out. Like Chris Rockwood said, if you're wearing the costume of a hoe, then I'm probably going to think that maybe that's your job. Just like if you're wearing the costume of a court jester, I'm probably not going to think that you're a king. It's just how these things work. So spiritually, the lower nature expressing through, and this is partially why people say things like, oh, yoga is demonic and all of that weird stuff. Again, reading is fundamental. Reading is fundamental. The Yoga Sutras, Yoganandi, and several other books that I've read, just in terms of the mental aspect of yoga, very powerful thing, not to mention the spiritual, physical, etc. I was just talking to one of the sisters, my client earlier, and talking about the similarities between yoga and salat, and the benefits of circulating the blood and moving the body around in different postures so that the blood is circulating, and then breathing, because the breathing process is what's actually cleaning the blood. So you breathe in through the nostrils, and your nose hairs are filtering out the dust and the dirt and all that stuff. You breathe it in, and then you breathe it out through your mouth so you can express the toxins. And then the bloodstream, as you breathe, that oxygen is cleaning your bloodstream. So that's why yoga is so powerful. But yoga can also be a master if you are studying under the wrong people, or if you are operating in your lower nature, like being on Instagram and doing, a downward dog in a thong. What are you trying to inspire? A hard on or, personal power? I'm confused. What's happening here? I thought I was on Instagram, not a porn site. Soft porn, of course. I'm just saying. Trap yoga. What is that? Why do we need to add trap music to yoga? Why do you need to be hearing about drugs and money and bitches and hoes while you're supposed to be doing a sacred spiritual practice? That's the lower nature operating in a spiritual capacity. And you can't tell me otherwise. And it's turning other people who would never go to yoga onto it. Is it that hard? Is it that difficult to do something righteous? Is it that difficult to be disciplined? Is it that difficult to turn off that clown shit and tap in with yourself? You really shouldn't be maybe listening to anything. Maybe you should just be present. That's why it's dangerous, because you can't be present with that type of music in the background. You can't even be staying with that type of music in the background. Then you got your children in the car listening to it. That's another conversation. So, spirituality. So those are examples of the lower nature expressing in a spiritual way. And not to mention, I saw a video of a pastor reprimanding his flock for the low amount of tithes. Why is it that we have look at the archdiocese. We talked about the Catholic Church. I talked about it in the video when I was addressing Candace Owens. and the 4.34 billion with a B dollars in the last 20 years that the Catholic Church has paid out for taking the innocence and purity of children all in America alone in 20 years. And you still got people going and sitting up in those pulpits. You still got people going in there and taking that, to eating those crackers and that juice. You still got people submitting and committing themselves to that form of religion, and they have a long-standing history of taking the innocence and purity of children, which is the closest thing to God we have. I beg your pardon. So Catholicism, the fact that women aren't respected as spiritual leaders, the fact that women can't be deacons and pastors and priestesses in the churches, in the mosques, all of that represents the same exact thing. How do we know? Because in ancient times, the women were regarded as the spiritual leaders. It's a fact. Now, we like to talk about the concept of Mary and the Black Madonna and how the Pope is going and bending at the feet when he goes behind closed doors and he's worshiping at the feet of the Black Madonna. Well, what are we really saying here? Talk about matrilineal, history, matriarchal societies and whatnot. Oh, that wasn't this and it shouldn't have been this. And well, we didn't have any nuclear war then, did we? In the book of Ptahhotep, which is supposed to be the oldest book in the world, they said that the pharaohs used to go sit at the well and get wisdom from the common women. The pharaoh, top of the food chain, top of the pyramid. He's going and sitting with the common women at the well where they go and get water. And he's going and drawing wisdom from the women. So I don't really need any book to verify certain things. You can look at it. This is where discernment is critical. I can look at the world, the condition of the world, and tell you for a fact it's not working. I can tell you for a fact that preachers in the Catholic world not being able to have a wife, this whole idea of not being able to have sexual relations with a woman because you're supposed to remain pure. You think that has anything to do with them turning to boys and taking advantage of boys? That, as well as the history of the Roman people and culture, they have a long-standing history of that. They got you looking at Diddy, and yeah, we should be looking at Diddy, but I'm just saying there's a reason for that. They're harnessing that black energy. It's black magic happening on a lot of different levels. So those are very powerful examples of the lower nature expressing through spirituality. I think I made my point. How does the higher self express through spirituality? How many of us can actually say that we are at peace right now? We got billions of people around the world, 2 billion Christians, 2 billion Muslims, probably another 500 million Buddhists, all the different what we consider religions or spiritual concepts. Mind you, a lot of these people fell for the okie doke 2020 and started working for Satan from behind the curtains. They were already maybe in some capacity working for Satan, but it became clear the minute you told your flock to get that shot, yes, it's a wrap. That's why TD Jakes is under divine judgment. They all gonna be under divine judgment, but it's not just celebrities and preachers and pastors. It's the top of the pyramid, and then it's the bottom of the pyramid too. It's the mom and pops and the CEOs of healthcare companies. There's way more to that story too, but all things are being revealed. Look at how people are now actually paying attention to what's happening in the healthcare industry. When Obamacare first came out, and I'm self-employed. I've been self-employed for a long time. So I usually just pay for my son's doctors. I pay out of pocket for everything because of the cost of insurance. So I said, okay, let me try this. They're saying, it may be more cost effective. So I looked into it. And the cost to maintain insurance for a household of let's say 4. I was just looking for my son and myself, but the cost to maintain for insurance for a house of 4, mother, father, son, daughter, is astounding. We should be ashamed of ourselves that we let this happen. And then they telling you to take poison at that. And then they're giving you medication. Half the country is now addicted to prescription pills. Is that a reflection of the healthcare industry? We had nurses and doctors on TikTok doing dances during one of the alleged worst times in human history, where we were all scared that everybody was going to die. And they were on TikTok dancing. And we didn't, our spiritual discernment, our spidey senses didn't kick in. We didn't say something is very, very wrong here. Again, God is in the details. So is the devil. Higher representations of spirituality, peace of mind, clarity, the quality of life experiences, the quality of people you meet is absolutely a representation. And I'm talking about meeting high quality people and having high quality experiences is absolutely a representation of the higher self expressing through spirituality. What else is the purpose of religion? What else is the purpose of the scriptures? You praying 5 times a day or praying every night and getting down on your knees? You reading the scriptures faithfully? You practicing all of the regiments and the rituals of a spiritual practice? Or you going to church or to the mosque every Sunday and you can't find peace? The math isn't mathing. Something is out of order. So peace of mind, clarity, attracting high vibration experiences, love, attracting love, radiating love, resonant, radiating love, and radiating the energy and the frequency and the quality of the auric field in the vibration of love, which is the highest frequency. That's why they try to keep us afraid. If it ain't no love in this house, why am I here? If it ain't no love in this church, why am I here? If it ain't no love in this mosque, why am I here? If I can't come here and find peace, why am I here? If I can't get clarity when I'm reading the books, why am I reading it? High representations of spirituality. Your children are a great reflection of that. My son is an excellent representation of the best parts of me. I put him in any room and allow him to speak on my behalf. He would dust a lot of these podcasters and internet sensations if we were putting him, or if he wanted to be in that lane. But I would never want to introduce him in publicly in this spectrum anyway, because it's, you know what I mean? People look for light and try to find a way to distinguish it. And I'm not offering my son up to that altar. Your spirituality, the illumination of your auric field, the way you affect people when you walk into a room, the way you add value in different spaces and environments, being able to talk people out of depression and anxiety and fear-based, lack-based consciousness. Those are highly effective methods of the spiritual sciences. And we just think that's everyday average life. No, that's alchemy. The concept of transmuting lead into gold. There's the physical aspect of that, but then there's the spiritual aspect of that. What is the spiritual aspect of that? You were depressed and now you living life to the fullest. You didn't know how you were going to get out of that situation. You thought God failed you. You ran out of faith. You thought all the odds were stacked against you. Nobody supported you. Nobody had your back. You're all alone. God's turned his back on you now. Nobody is with you. Nobody is for you. And then you start to take control of your mind and your thinking. And then you start to tap back into your spiritual regiments. And then you start to go back out into nature. And then you start to read the books that are on the frequency and the resonance that you're striving to move towards. Taking control of your mind. And then all of a sudden you see clearly now, because God is present again. Not that God ever left, but we got to tap into that frequency. We got to hone into that frequency. We got to harness that energy, not just sit back and wait for it to come to us. We're way too passive when it comes to spirituality and religion, because we still have savior complexes. That's why Donald Trump is on the tip of everybody's tongue, and he's going to do all of this, and he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's getting ready to come and fix all the problems. Yeah, but he can't fix you. He can't bring you peace. He can't mend the relationship between you and your children. He can't mend the relationship between you and your family. He can't keep you from, being terrorized and haunted by the problems and the mistakes and the errors that you've made in the past that you've never forgiven yourself for. So what are we really talking about? an NPC at the highest level. A PhD NPC is what Trump is to me. And you done made this man an idol. Thank you very much, Atun, for saying idol, because it's the word I've been looking for in my brain and I could not find it. Idols. Trump is a high form representation of that idol mentality. So is Obama. So is TD Jakes. That sentiment of American gods, that show American gods, and representing all of these different avatars in the mainframe of consciousness we are living and breathing and walking in it right now. That's why I have a lot of respect for the Bible. I know a lot of people, especially in the, Pan-African or Black cultural, we don't respect the Bible, but like, bro, those words are flying off the paper. We're walking through the book right now. It's a living, breathing book. Yes, it was, they wrote history in advance. They wrote the prophecy in advance. But the fact that you believe it is what gave it the power. The fact that 2 billion people believe it and read it desperately and continuously and turn to it in times of grief and turn to it in times of suffering, whether it's the Quran or the Bible, the fact that you believe in the scriptures is what actually activates them. You give it power, just like you give a crystal a power. And if you don't believe it's real, it's just a pretty rock. If you think yoga is demonic, guess what? It's going to be demonic. You're going to run into people that are operating from the lower nature that are in the world of yoga. You're going to run into a cult. You're going to run into a John of God or an Oprah Winfrey. She's done a hell of a job hoodwinking all of us. But if you believe in yourself, how can you believe in God and you don't believe in yourself? I need to write this down in red. How can you believe in God and you don't believe in yourself? How is that possible? So this is the download that God gave me to give to you. And I've been through very extenuating internal reflection and pain and suffering and inner child, having to go back and deal with all of the difficulty of my childhood and my upbringing, my lack of support and the lack of support breeds lack-based consciousness. That's why none of us are supposed to be doing this alone. None of us are supposed to be figuring all of this out alone. We're supposed to have people encouraging and supporting us at every turn, not just in our family, in society, speaking life into us, speaking love into us, helping us remember who we are, helping us to connect to the God consciousness, the God frequency. Everybody around us is supposed to be supporting us in that regard, and they're not. And that's why depression is running rampant, anxiety is running rampant, self-sabotage is running rampant, etc., etc. But it's not just all on you, just like it was never just all on me. I've been figuring out things in my life on my own since I was 14 years old. On my own. Living in the world, paying bills, working, making my way, choosing, figuring it out, bumping my head against life, against the walls of life since 14 years old. And really before then. But at 14, I moved out and got my own place and had a roommate and was paying bills. Since 14. And even when I was a child, I was out thinking the grown-ups around me. That's why I knew when it was time to go, it was time to go. I grew up in crack-infested Oakland, California, during a time where, it took a lot of people out off the set in terms of my family and the people that were charged to take care of me. So then I come to 2024, into 2023, and all of a sudden I got to remember all of this again. I already processed this. I already dealt with this. What is this? You know what I'm saying? I already read those books. I already did that. I already did that regimen. I fasted that out of me. I detoxed that out of me. I've been vegan for 20 plus years. You know what I'm saying? I haven't eaten meat. I'm very careful about how I treat myself, what I put in my body. How could I be here suffering and in pain in the heart chakra, where all my power is. And I feel disconnected from source, disconnected from God. Like nobody loves me. Nobody cares about me. I don't have no support. How can I feel like that at this big age? This is when I talk about having to confront the fears, to confront the things that have been ruling us in the background, in the backdrop of our lives. You know, the macrocosm and the microcosm. The macrocosm is COVID and Trump and politics and wars and the insanity and chaos happening in the world. And then the microcosm is little bitty me trying to figure out my way in the midst of all of this insanity, trying to find peace when I go to sleep at night, trying to feel strong within myself and believe in myself and love myself the way I love God. That's spiritual warfare at the highest levels, on a physical, the collective, and then on the individual level. So you can't tell me I don't know God, and I don't ascribe to any religion. Love is my religion. But I had to face the deepest, darkest aspects of myself. That feeling neglected, feeling abandoned, feeling like nobody cares. Yeah, I had to process that. A lot of us are processing that right now. 95% of the consultations that I've done in the past 6 months have been all about that. How could I still be here? I thought I was healed from this. I thought I was done with this. No, you at a different level. I have a different level of wisdom at 45. So when I go through and process and purge and assess and analyze the lack of support that I had as a child, the lack of family, the lack of infrastructure, the lack of love, I definitely wasn't planning that. When I cry, shit grows. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not. I wasn't raised in the social media world, so I don't have a problem with showing my emotions and expressing my emotions. I definitely didn't plan for that, but the spirit of the conversation and the importance of this moment. I'm gonna tell you guys something. When I did that last walk with me, Venice Canals, the day before the election, I talked like an hour and a half. It was good. I did it live, so I'm engaging back and forth with the audience and whatnot. I haven't told anybody this. I told one person this, but I haven't told. I said I was only gonna tell my membership channel, but I feel compelled to tell you guys now. After I finished the live, I had a group meditation for my membership channel, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to get through traffic to get all the way back to the house to do the meditation. So I just went to Erewhon, I grabbed a salad, I parked, and I did the meditation from my car, but this is the night before the election. I broke down in tears and I cried. And there's been times when I've done lives and I'll be in the middle of the conversation and I lose all of my connection, because you see, I'll be in a zone and you know what I'm saying? It's like the spirit is flowing through me. God is speaking through me and to me. And sometimes I lose that connection and I feel disconnected from the conversation. because I really wish y'all understood the magnitude of what's happening in the world right now. And I feel the pain and the suffering. This is the transmutation. When I do these videos, I can feel the fear. I can feel the chaos. I can feel the anger. I can feel the pain that a lot of people that are tuned into these messages are going through. That's why I call myself an alchemist. It's a lot of layers to that. And I had to go through what I've gone through as of late to give me the perspective that I have now to have this conversation with you guys. But I sat in my car and I just broke down in tears because I saw how invested we are in this election. And I see Satan all over it. Both campaigns, both sides, red, blue, I see Satan all over it. And I see how cruel these people are and how they're playing games with your minds. They're playing games with our money. They're playing games with our livelihood. The things that they have planned for humanity over the next 5 years, if I really actually came to you and said, based on what I know from my research, and I know slouch in my research, I know what I'm talking about. The stuff that I was talking about in 2015, I was already talking about the technology that they're using now in 2015, and I didn't even know. If you could get a glimpse into my mind and see the things that I know that these people are planning, and how invested we are in this system, and how invested we are in this culture, and how invested we are in this world. That's why I've been so serious my whole life. That's why I wrote all of my books are all about trying to raise the vibration and raise the consciousness. I was serious when I was 12. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna sit here and tell you I was Cat Williams and I read 8,000 books in a year. That was just, stop it. And no, Cat Williams did not open up a portal. Stop it. We giving the celebrity world and the entertainment world way too much credit. 2020 opened the portal, not Cat Williams. And the celebrity culture is just one smidget of this, but it is not, that important on the broader scale of things. You are. But I know what they're planning, and I see it unfolding right in front of our eyes. And I know the only way out of this is within. So when I'm talking about spirituality, when I'm talking about all these things, and it sounds like, yeah, I ain't trying to hear that. I'm trying to I'm chasing the bag. That's exactly what they want you to do. And don't get me wrong, I run a full-fledged business. You know what I'm saying? I'm selling my books. I'm promoting my books. I'm promoting my business, right? I gotta live too. I gotta eat too. So I understand. But we're in a real serious paradigm shift. That concept of the age of Aquarius, moving from the frequency of belief to the frequency of knowing. You know how sure you got to be of yourself to operate 100% of the time in pure, unadulterated faith? Not faith like belief, faith like knowing. Faith, as far as a belief concept, is a religious concept. That's an old world model. It's expired. Just like the race-based consciousness is an old world model. It's expired. You can't tell me I don't keep it real. I come to you guys with, this is my clear face. I got Burt's Bees and I'm sitting here dropping tears in front of you. I don't get no realer than this. Exposing my vulnerabilities. That's what the divine feminine does, though. I want to reach you in your heart chakra. I want to have a soul-to-soul conversation with you. I want you to hear me, but I want you to feel me too. That's why I stopped doing videos with my face, because sometimes my face really gets in the way, especially when it comes to the conversations with men. So I take myself out of the equation. Just hear me and just feel what it is that I'm saying to you. The army of God is being formed. The army of God is being formed. Your choices and decisions in the world The way you treat yourself, the way you handle yourself, the way you speak to yourself, your energetic resonance, your vibration, what you think about in the morning, what you think about at night before you go to bed is qualifying and quantifying whether you're going to be a part of that army or not. So our goal moving forward should be to add value to every space, every conversation, every experience, but most importantly to ourselves. And that, when I talk about this, my experience in this last year and a half, having to confront all of those things, I've been teaching and telling people for 15, 20 years now, nobody is an island, supporting people, backing people up, helping people, assisting people, lifting people up. But I've been doing it as an island. I'm connected to a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. I got a lot of support all over the world. But in terms of my message, in terms of the way that I've been operating and moving in the world, yeah, I've been like, I'm an island. I want to come and give everybody refuge. It's just not working anymore. It's an old world model. So I had to, the alchemy, I had to deal with the lead of the circumstances and situations. I feel alone, but that's not the case. I feel abandoned, but that's not the case. I feel like I'm, not living up to my potential, but that's not the case. I feel like I haven't done enough, but that's not the case. I feel like I'm not doing enough, but that's not the case. I'm saying all of this because I know it's a lot of people listening to me and that are going to listen to me that feel exactly the same. How can you believe in God and not believe in yourself? Everything I've done my whole entire life has been on behalf of the Most High. Everything. Even when I was a child, there's plenty of circumstances I can remember where I was the wisest person in the room. I came here with a very predetermined destiny. Everything I've done has been to add value into even the mistakes that I've made in the bigger scheme of things got me to this level where I could have this kind of vulnerable, raw and uncut conversation with you. I am who I say I am. That's why for me, I could easily cut the camera off and be like, give me a second. No, this is real life 101, ZaZa Ali in the flesh. You come to my event, this is exactly what you're going to experience, but a whole different level of vibration and frequency because my aura is strong, because I work on myself, because I love myself, because I believe in myself, because I believe in God. You know what I'm saying? So the inner work, the things that we don't get credit for, the things that you're not going to write on the to-do list, the things that the social media influencers are not going to, tell you to work on in the workshops. Those inner things, those little things, monitoring the way you think and monitoring the way you're feeling, taking care of yourself, being activated to take care of yourself, being focused and intentional about creating the life that you actually want to live and experience. That's where the power is. That's why I say Hollywood is Satan's vision board. Because if they can get you to believe in the lie, to believe that they're all powerful, to believe that they're in charge, then guess what? They are. Not because they're that powerful, but because you believe it. So where's God's vision board? We're supposed to be creating that. We're supposed to be building the kingdom of God. We're supposed to be structuring in our mind's eye the kingdom of God, kingdom, queendom, whatever you want to call it. I'm okay with both of those things. But we got to take care of ourselves. And the things that are troubling us in our spirit, whether it's childhood things that popped up for me out of nowhere, or whether it's, trauma that happened when we were younger, or, the continuity of attracting people that abandon and neglect us. I have a track record of pouring my whole heart and soul into people that end up forsaking me. Why is that? Because I've been radiating the void. What is the void? Lack of love, lack of connection, lack of support, etc. So I don't even realize I'm out in the world being of service to the whole entire world, pouring love out into everybody else. But on the inside, I'm hurting because I feel like it's not reciprocal. That song Kendrick Lamar has, Ain't Nobody Praying for Me. Yeah, that's been a whole prayer for me at certain points in my life. And I know the impact that I've had. I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to minimize any of that. I read your comments. The testimonies that I have for people in terms of the impact that my work and my voice has had. Yeah, I'm not ever going to sell that short. If it was a different day and I was on a different vibration, if I was feeling myself, I'd be popping my collar. You know what I mean? I'm trying to pull myself back into, you know, into my center. And I'm centered, but I'm just saying, we all have whatever that internal fear. I'm going to let you guys go because I know I've been talking for a while now, almost over 2.5 hours. And I appreciate you guys for staying with me. And I'm going to go back and read the comments in the chat room too. When I did the walk with me in Beverly Hills, and it's on my Instagram page. It's on YouTube too. I have a couple of them on YouTube. And I was talking about going back to, I used a video game as a reference, a metaphor. So when I was coming up, Super Mario Brothers, Zelda, those were the games we would play. So that's my example. Maybe you would use, whatever you guys play now. I don't know if grown-ups play video games, but just for the sake of staying on the topic. So let's say the game has 10 levels. The first level is going to be the easiest. Super Mario Brothers. You hit the question mark, the coin comes out. You got superpowers. You can kick over the turtles. You go down the tunnel. You can go in and get all the coins. It's very simple. It's kind of difficult when you first start the game. But as you go into the game, it's super easy, right? So the first level is easy. Second level is a little bit more difficult. Each level gets harder. The 10th and final level, you have to go back through all of the different stages of the game, from the easiest aspects of the game to the most difficult aspects of the game in level 1 through 10. So you going back through the basic stages in level 10, and then you going through the hardest stuff that took you forever to get past level 9 to get to level 10. This is where we are right now. This is why the chosen ones, the chosen ones choose themselves, right? Those of us that are striving for Christ consciousness, striving to be in alignment. This is why we are struggling and dealing with so much difficulty now, because we're having to go back through the most basic aspects, which means reviewing and remembering. Oh, my phone did. That throws my vibration off because I need my music, but I'm almost done. We have to go back and review the most simple aspects of the game. And I've had to go back and review the stuff that I already thought I was over, and I already did this, and I healed from this, and what is this about? Because I have a different vantage point and a different level of wisdom now at the age of 45 that can go back and pull and extract wisdom from those experiences that I wasn't able to draw from at 20. I wasn't wise enough to get the full picture at 30. I wasn't mentally astute enough or spiritually astute enough at 38 to be able to get the level of wisdom from the experience that I can get now. So it's alchemy, but alchemy at the highest level, because we're on level 10. We're not on level 3. We're not on level 8. We're on level 10, extracting the wisdom at this stage to draw from those experiences so that we can dead those experiences in their fullness. I know it never, you always going to have to process things and deal with things from your childhood or your trauma or whatever. I'm not trying to say that. But what I am saying is that the requirements moving forward for us, the people of God, have greatly increased. What it takes to maintain frequency in December of 2024, and I guarantee you 2025, the stakes are going to be really, really high. What it's going to take for us to maintain our sanity, to maintain our peace, is not going to be, you can't be in the ring in January 2025 trying to learn how to fight. We're talking about spiritual warfare. So this is why now focusing on being mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically fortified is critical. Don't tell me you love God and you're not taking care of your body. I don't want to hear it. It's 2024. Don't tell me you're a spiritual or religious person and you're not monitoring the way you think and the way you talk to yourself. You're not taking care of yourself. You're judging and criticizing and beating yourself up and ridiculing yourself. Don't tell me you love God and that's your modus operandi. I don't believe you. So those concepts of spirituality, those concepts of religion, those concepts of all of the things that we equate to loving God, serving God, worshiping, etc., that energy now needs to be transmuted within. You see what I'm saying? So we're in the 10th level. After you finish all of the stuff you had to learn in level 1 through 10, then you got to beat that final adversary, the big dude with 10 guns and 10 arms, and you know what I'm saying? He's flying all over the place, and he's a wizard and a magician. And when you first start the game, you getting out every 5 seconds because how am I gonna smoke this dude? You know what I'm saying? I gotta take this dude off the set. I can't win the game without this, right? But this dude seems invincible. Satan seems invincible. The people spraying the white lines in the sky seem invincible. The people who created the Georgia Guidestones seem invincible. The people who are trying to lock us in 15-minute cities and force us all to drive electric cars seem invincible. The people who have gone and manipulated the science and the technology of organic fruit and fruits and vegetables and are turning them into synthetic food, they seem invincible. The people who put fluoride in our water, they seem invincible. But guess what? Guess what the tools and the resources are to kick his ass? Everything we learned from level 1 to level 10. So everything we learned in level 1, the simplest and most basic aspects of who we have become, are just as important as everything that we learned in level 9. That's why we're going back through. It's like a rehash. You know, before you study for the big test, I passed the California real estate exam, and everybody always talked about how hard it was. So you got to go and study the simplest aspects of this and the most difficult. And everybody's like, oh my God, everybody tested and I passed it. Why? Because I never thought I was going to fail. We can't be around here thinking we're going to fail. We can't be around here thinking these people are going to be successful. Fake alien invasion? Okay, that's why I'm talking about it, because I got your number, Satan. Transhumanism? Okay, I got it. I got your number, Satan. I was talking about your technology in 2015. I'm ahead of the game in terms of what you're planning, at least in terms of my knowledge base. So if you try to pull something off in the sky, I already know what's happening. Discernment, vibrational resonance, being able to recognize God versus when God appears versus Satan. You see what I'm saying? So I love you guys and I appreciate you. And I'm very grateful, you know, to have 200 people listen to you consistently for almost 3 hours is an amazing feat. And I ain't really talking about celebrities, and I ain't talking about trending topics. I'm talking about real, you know what I mean? I know how to go viral if that's what I want to do. It's not what I want to do. I want to have 200 people come and have a real heart-to-heart conversation with me and talk about some real shit. And that's what we did today. And we ain't doing fear, and we're gonna look the devil straight in his eye, and we're gonna deal with the reality on the ground. Much love. I appreciate you, King, for the super chat. And we're gonna deal with our lower nature, and we're gonna work on discipline, and we're gonna work on love and embodying the love frequency and creating and finding our passion and figuring out where we want to be in this world and what kind of lives and kingdoms and realities we want to create for ourselves. And we're going to make it happen and make it manifest. Okay? Thank you guys. All of the cash apps, the super chats. I appreciate the support so much. I didn't mean to get emotional, but it's all good because I'm a woman through and through. And I understand that the heart chakra is where the love is really fortified. And so I can't be who I am without just really being my true authentic self. This is just what it is. But again, I thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. LA, January 25th, 2025. I promise you I'm not going to cry. I'm going to try not to cry. But if I cry, it's just going to be, you know what I mean? Something's going to grow because that's just the way it works. And yeah, I'll see y'all soon. Peace and love.